You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back with another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. Well, we are finally wrapping up March and headed to April. So pretty much the first quarter of the year of 2026 is already wrapped up. And it's been a decent quarter, a decent first quarter. I have to say there's been some definite highs. No personal lows, but there has been some annoyances for sure. We have pretty much wrapped up January, February, March, about to go to April. Second quarter, things about to really, really ramp up. I feel like the first quarter of the year, it was all right. There were some cool moments. I mean, the Grammys was epic, of course. South by Southwest. I mean, how could we forget, Major parties. Definitely spring is here. We're going to talk about some of the things I did this past week. I was outside, y'all, wasn't I? Goodness. I was like, oh, wow. Okay. But see, this also reminds me that when I do go outside, there has to be a level of significance. Like, people feel like I'm always outside, like chronically outside. But what I mean by outside versus, there's like when I'm at a lot of public facing events where I'm like seeing people in the wild, like folks being able to come up to me and shake hands, and hand sanitizer is real because I'm hearing that there's like a new COVID variant or something like that out there. That's what people are percolating. There's a new possible COVID strand that's I guess contagious that's going around. Okay. And y'all know I haven't gotten COVID. So, let me knock on this wood. Knocking on my wooden table. I have not gotten COVID, won't get COVID. That does not exist in my immune system. But, going out, definitely getting back into the, all right, because even though we are in spring, people do have those like seasonal flus and whatnot and what have you. And this weather doesn't know what it want to do. That fall spring stuff, that shit is real, because this weekend, I thought I could pull out the mesh a little bit. Oh no, had to have a jacket. So, it's still getting funny, but we about to get into April. So I'm gonna need this, whatever this cold winter weather, wrap that shit up. Wrap it up, please do. Cause no, we don't have time for that. But no, there is this new COVID-19 variant called cicada, which I've been seeing this word a lot, or cicada. It is a strain, they call it BA 3.2. It was first identified in South Africa in November 2024. But now they've detected it in 23 countries, according to the CDC. This is the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. So it's out there, okay? Get these vaccinations, y'all. The updated COVID-19 vaccine still provides some protection against this variant, though the response is noticeably weaker than against more closely matched variants that were in the past, which is the variant known as XFG, which is the current dominant strain in the U.S. So, like I said, get these vaccinations, okay? Protect your immunity, take these boosters, get these boosters, do what you got to do. Of course, talk to a licensed physician and healthcare expert, because everybody's bodies and conditions are different. I am not a health expert. I can't tell you what to get. Talk to your physicians. Some of you all maybe can't for different disabilities you might have or allergies. So you did not get medical advice from me, because people need to do that more often. And so I'm just saying I am in a very healthy, able-bodied state that they have been effective for me. Some people might have different conditions and reasons. Talk to a healthcare provider. Just want to put that disclosure out there. But moving along, April is coming. I'm excited about it. There's some birthdays this past weekend. State Senator Sharif Street is 52 years old. My good friend Chris Bartlett just turned 60. And so that's exciting. And he's an avid listener of the podcast. Both of them are actually avid listeners of the podcast. But State Senator Sharif Street is probably a little happier and got a little early birthday gift because State Representative Morgan Cephas has dropped out the race, the congressional race. So that has made it a little easier for him to build some consensus, some support from his base. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in the podcast, but I got some thoughts. We're now down to what I call the big three. There is still like eight candidates in this crowded-ass congressional race, but there's really three candidates that respectfully matter because I think they're going to get the lion's share of the votes. And I think that one of those three is going to win at this point based on polling, fundraising, endorsements, and what have you. And that is State Rep Chris Rabb, Dr. Ayla Stanford, and State Senator Sharif Street. I think that, one of those three will win. But we'll talk more about this. We'll talk more about this later in the show. But I wanted to mention that because there is a lot of birthdays, okay? So, you got the Aries or the Pisces and exit the room. Now you got the Pisces going. I think my younger brother is an Aries. I guess the Aries are now in full swing, which is, I like a couple Aries. It's a couple of them. So my younger brother's a Taurus. His birthday's April 20th. My youngest brother, like the baby of the group, of the bunch, he is a Taurus. He is on 420. Aries is from March 21st to April 19th. So yeah, we're in Aries season. I mean, look, Mariah Carey's an Aries. There's a couple of different famous Aries out there. I like some of them. I don't like all of them. Some of them get on my nerves. Lady Gaga, Robert Downey Jr., Reese Witherspoon, Eddie Murphy, Elton John, Leonardo da Vinci, Aretha Franklin, Lil Nas X, Pharrell Williams, Akon, Diana Ross, Marvin Gaye, Sarah Jessica Parker, Emma Thompson, okay, Jackie Chan, Keira Knightley. Yeah, Kristen Stewart. Yeah, this is a very mixed group. Because even looking at some of these celebrities that I named, definitely are some people, either you like them or you can't stand them. There's like half of them I like, half of them I'm like, oh my goodness, you're annoying, get away. So I can see, Aries, I'm a Libra, so I don't know what that would mean, but Aries and I just know a couple in my life that I'm just like, I don't know how many Tauruses. Do I? Maybe. I don't know how many Tauruses. I feel like in my life, the major folks that come around that's heavy in my group are other Libras, Aquariuses, Sagittariuses, or Sagittarists, I would say. And Aquariuses, Sagittarius, and Capricorns. Oh, I got a lot of Capricorns. Like all of them three back to back. Sagittarius, Capricorns, Aquariuses, in that order. That the bulk of my friends are in those three categories. Most of my friends are in those three zodiacs. There's other groups, there's other people, right? There is diversity, but most of my friends are in those categories. So like, just to put this in, and Libras too, right? Other Libras, but just to name a few, right? So that you all can understand what I mean by this. Okay. Thinking about all of my friends in these zodiacs. Nina, Lauren, Jess, Sagittarius. All of them. Okay? And then, of course, Britney Spears, but, Taylor Swift, Sagittarius. All of them. Capricorns, Dr. Parks, George, Geo, Josh Eats Philly, my mom, lots, okay? Aquariuses, my husband, Manny, Sharon, yeah, that's like the bulk of like my core friend group. Jamarcus is a Cancer. He's an outlier. He's born on the 4th of July. 4th of Jamarcus, as we call it. He's an outlier. And then I got a lot of Libras too in the mix, like my homegirl Charnay and a couple other Libras, right? But like just thinking at the top of my head, a lot of my core friend circle is literally in that mix. Yeah, because even Samantha, Samantha is in that. Like, again, all of these individuals, they all fall within that December, January, February timeline. Even Sam is in there. Oprah. Like, all of them is in that 3-month cycle. The majority, I would say 80% of my friend circle is in that 3-month period. Not to say I don't have friends that are other zodiac signs. Of course, I have some Geminis. I know some Geminis. Couple of Virgos. But when I think about my core group, they all fall within that 3 months time span. Yeah. It hits me. It hits me. Each time I'll be like, why do I feel like I'm always having a lot of parties? Why does it seem like it's a lot going on during that time, outside of holiday parties and Valentine's? Because all their birthdays during that time. So, yeah. Been working on my book. I'm on the second to last chapter. We got a conclusion coming. I know how I'm going to end this book. I know how I'm going to end it. I mean, I outline and shit, but I know how I want to conclude this book. You're like, damn, that's fast. Listen, when you have a deadline, you got to hit your deadline. I was outside this week, but this weekend, my ass was in the house. I'm doing my interviews right now. I have some really great people that's going to be in this book. I haven't named any names yet because, I haven't named any names yet, but this is coming. This is coming. And I'm excited. And it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time. It is going to be good. There's some really, really great voices. Some familiar voices from the last book. Because, if you're an expert, you're expert. And if you got something to say, you got something to say. But there are some people, some familiar voices from the Case for Council culture, but there's some brand new voices that are coming into this book. And that's what growth looks like. I mean, a lot of folks saw the Case for Council culture and saw that wave and saw what it was giving and was like, oh, I wish I would have taken your inquiry. Because I did reach out to some people. And, there will be people that will go, why is this person on the book? Or why is this? Let me tell y'all something. This is like with albums, people will say, well, why is this person not featured on this album? Why you didn't do a collab with this person? Cardi B has said this with her last album, Am I the Drama? Y'all understand something behind the scenes. There is a lot of politics sometimes that shape whether people want to be on books, what label you sign to, what publisher you're with, and who, what's given and what they got going on, and all kind of stuff be happening behind the scenes. I will never get into those details because that's just TMI. That's too much information. And also, I'm not trying to be messy. But there is a lot of politics that go on behind who gets put on, who gets to do a feature. I treat it like a track, like an album. I do sometimes doing books, I do feel like being an artist, you are an artist in a way, but like being a music artist where it's like collabs, features, going on tour. It kind of feels that way. And so like my book has 8 chapters. Like who's on what track? Who's gonna be on what track? What what features? Who's gonna be on the tour? Who's opening? It feels like being a music artist a little bit. So yeah, there were definitely people that I reached out to be a part of this album. But some folks were either too busy. Some people just was not a good fit. As I was writing and doing my thing, there were people that I would like initially thought that I wanted that. Let me be clear. Everybody I finally reached out to, there was no one that I said, I want you, and then turned my mind and said, I don't want you. Did not do that. There were people that I was thinking about reaching out to, and then as the book evolved, I was like, yeah, I don't necessarily know if their voice is adding anything new to the conversation. Like, in other words, there are other people in the book that I were like, you know what, they're going to make that point, or they've made that point. I don't want to kick a dead horse. Then there are some people where you're like, you know what, this is a needed book. This is a needed voice in the book. I really want this person's perspective for various reasons. And I want all types of diversity, racial diversity, age diversity, expertise diversity, diversity of ideology and perspective. I had a Black Republican for my last book, which was very important. I have a Black Republican that I interviewed for this book. I have socialists. I have people who don't support, political parties or either the two-party systems. I have Bernie Bros. I have feminists. I have a lot of different voices. I won't name everybody, but I got a very great slate of perspectives. Emerging writers, well-respected, established writers. It's gonna be really good because it just shapes the book. It's a cross-generational perspective on this topic, and you just can't, am I throwing shots? Okay. I just feel like in the literary world, there's become a redundancy of voices that are oftentimes on the back of the books, giving perspectives that's pushing them. There's like a handful of those people. And while, yes, I would love for those voices to promote my book and be a part of that, which some of them are, to be clear, that can't be the only voices. That can't be the only names. That can't be the only people, because then everything sounds the same, feels the same, smells the same, yada, yada, yada. This book, I wanted to feel different. I wanted to look different. That was what The Case for Counterculture was. It was a book that kind of disrupted the types of conversation that was being had in a literary space. It wasn't necessarily popular in those conversations with certain types of people. A lot of people didn't want to take a picture with this book. Some of the people that are part of this book, I was not going to be able to get them on the first book. But that was okay because I understood what the subject matter was. Also, there had to be an evolution of thoughts. The Case for Cancel Culture was ahead of its time. This book is a little bit ahead of its time. Like, people are more welcoming to the conversation, but even the way that we think about politics and some of the stuff I'm going to say is going to bump heads. This book, on the surface level, it's going to appeal to people. But when they read it, some of them are going to be pissed off because I am talking about their faves. Like, everybody gets that work in this book. It is an equal opportunity accountability holder, okay? You will read one chapter and go, yeah, I agree on this chapter on Bernie Bros. I like that. And then you're going to read the chapter about the K-Hive and go, oh, shit. And that is what makes this book fun, because depending on where you stand, everybody gets it. Everybody gets that critique. And I love a book like that. I want people to wrestle with it. I want people to debate things. Even when I wrote it, I felt a change in my own thought processes about even my own complicity in stan culture, and how I played a role in it. There is a reflection for everybody, right? And so this book was a real cathartic experience. I really felt like I was able to come to terms with doing this, right? I was just talking to my bestie, Jamarcus, because we both were stans. He was, of course, he's still a stan, child. He beehive. But we've but respectfully, we've grown out of that a lot. Like, I was in Rihanna Navy. And we were just talking about like how none of our faves are making us happy. Both of our faves are billionaires. Rihanna is a billionaire now. Beyonce's a billionaire now. We're looking at the people that they're with, right? Jay-Z, A$AP Rocky. And we're like, what the fuck? We just didn't think they were going to, We wanted them to be successful, but we didn't think it was going to be like this. I mean, by all means, we still have love for them, but we also are at an age where we're like, nah, I can't defend that. I can't defend that. I know Dr. Parks is feeling it because so much of what I told her about Beyonce has come to truth. But also, we just thought the world was going to be different, you know? They the same people. These celebrities are all the fucking same. I'm going to get on that later in the podcast. Let me hold my thoughts because that Jay-Z interview, child, with GQ, woo, we're going to talk about that too. But yeah, I won't overshare. But the book is booking and we're doing it. These interviews, these conversations, I'm excited because we're in the final 2 chapters, the final quarter of the book, and this is what I've been waiting for. So we've now arrived at the 2024 election, where we're now in the moment of Trump versus Harris. And yeah, like everything I wrote gets us to this major showdown. And I'm super excited about the fact that I feel like I've landed where I need to be to now make the case that I've been trying to make. And you know, you know, it was like when I made the outline for this book over a year ago and I was navigating how I was going to tell this story. You know, it's like a math problem. And you got this equation. You're like, you know how you're going to get to this, you're going to solve. You're like, this is what I got to do. But when you start actually doing it, you're like, oh shit, this is flowing in a way that is supporting every way in which I was making this argument. And we are now here and it just all connects. And so this book is in many ways explaining how she lost 2024 and a very different angle that is not the typical, she was a woman, she was black. That's the easy, lazy analysis. This book gets us to how we got back to Trump. And I know how we got back to Trump in a very different way. There's 1,000 different ways, right, to get to that conclusion. But my theory, which is a unique theory, mind you, there's been no book, okay? There's been no article. We didn't scan the internet. I didn't look through every archive. There is nothing out there that gets you to this argument with this argument this way. That's why books matter, because books provide new theories and understandings of the world around us and provides us a critical lens of how to navigate, address, or even prevent some things from happening again. I have a way of getting us to how Trump got reelected without leaning heavily into the same tired Democratic talking points and tropes. And it's not just about economics. It's not just racism, because if it was that way, you could argue, well, then why did he win in 2020? Like, there's so many ways that provides this. I have a thought, and I'm going to stop over talking. I need to I can't stop, y'all. I'm excited. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I hope you're excited with me. I've been hinting for a couple of weeks. Each week, I'm in my bag. I've missed writing for so long, and with the internet just ruining the way that articles are even written, I'm just gonna give myself a pat on the back. I'm sorry, y'all. Because I really was like, if I'm gonna write and really write the way I want to write, I need to be able to have a project as deep, as immersive, as focused as this. I just can't do the quick little one-offs. I mean, I could probably do a guest op-ed every blue moon, but I want something I can sink my teeth in. I want something that allows me a space and a place to process and think critically and away from all the noise and the chatter, without editors with their dumb questions. I mean, I do have a book editor, of course, but like, not just the back and forth every single fucking time. Like, that was some of the most behind the scenes exhausting aspects of being a writer on the daily, is that sometimes you could work with editors, and not all editors. I had some good editors. I'm more blessed than others. But sometimes you just want to say the thing and say that's what I meant, and I have to do 1,000. And I'm not talking about on facts, okay? Like, not fact checking shit. Like, a fact is a fact, right? But when it comes to a certain take or an opinion, I used to sometimes get annoyed with editors that would be like, well, do you think that's being too harsh? No, I don't actually. Well, do you think you're being fair by? Yes, actually, I do. I do. Right? And I just can't remember. I can't forget, like, sometimes, like, because the journalism ecosystem is predominantly white, right? That when I was writing for national publications about racism and I was calling things racist and I was saying certain things were problematic, I would get annoyed by that white liberal editor, because that's what I typically was working with, that would try to soften my tone. And I would say, nah, this is my name on it. You're not doing me a service. Like, you're not looking out for me by thinking that, no. I want the smoke. I know what the fuck I'm doing. Your name is not on this article. My name is. I want to call this person a racist. I have a substantial amount of examples to prove that. And I'm okay with whatever the backlash is, because you know what? It needs to be said. Thank you. I've had conversations like that with editors. And they would fall back, because the moment I say it's my byline, no one's going to ever find out most of the time who the editor is. No one ever goes, who's the editor, right? Even with songs. A lot of people don't ask who wrote the song. They judge the artist who sung the lyric, right? Even with movies, no one oftentimes do all that work of, well, who wrote the song with that lyric? No, they say, who the fuck sung it? You sung the song. So as a writer, I wrote it. And so whenever I write, I take the responsibility for it. Period. Like, sometimes editors, I think, they struggle with understanding that your job is to, one, make sure shit is accurate, fair, but it's also to give a writer the space and the place to get their viewpoint across. It's not your viewpoint, it's their viewpoint. And as long as they can make it crystal clear in a way that is accurate, right, they're entitled to it. I think it's up to them to live with the consequences for what they do, right? If a publication decides to publish it and run it, that's a choice as well. But if you commission the writer, then that means you want the take. If you don't want that take, don't commission a writer. Once you commission a writer, then, you give them a kill fee or something, but you got to figure it out. But all writing business stuff aside, I'm just going. But these are things that I think about all the time, And now that I'm in a space where I'm fortunate enough to be able to do this again, to write a book again, to write a book that I want to write again, which is key, because a lot of people out here, woo, child, writing books that they don't even want to write. Or somebody told them, you need to write this book, and that's why listen, I'm having fun. Actually's right. A lot of writers out here, I don't know if they're having fun, because a lot of them are not writing their books. There's a lot of people doing AI and shit, but I digress. My AI-free book is coming next year. I am currently working. We're getting close to the finish line. I cannot wait. Stay tuned. But yeah. So outside of writing my book, I was out here. Okay, I was outside. A lot of y'all saw me outside this week. I was outside. Did the Phillies preview with with 3/4 of Lit Brothers, Josh, Jamarcus, and I, and Mr. Johnson came with me. We went to the Phillies preview event at Citizens Bank. It's a cute little media event, bigger than media events. Everyone was there. Oh my goodness. Ryan Howard, Jimmy Rollins, they were there. It was legends. It was cute. It was a cute event. Lots of red. And I'm an alpha man, so we don't really do red. So seeing all that red in the room got me a little triggered. But no, it was a cute event. It was a nice preview event. I'm not a baseball girl, but go Phillies, Go Phillies. Why not? The next night I went to Terra Grill, which is in Northern Liberties. It's over there by the Post Brothers property. I didn't have a full course experience. It was me and Charnay. We went out, just did a cute little tasting. You know, she's around the area. It was a little media preview. I had some bites, but I didn't have a full course meal. What I can tell you about the place, the verdict is still out to me. I mean, it's cute. It's a steakhouse. I got or a wood fire situation. A Michelin star chef was in the building. Who's the chef there? The food was it was cool. I just don't really here's the thing. I have been invited to attend again, which I'm gonna go soon. I'm gonna do a revisit again. I'm gonna do an actual dinner, like actual full course. I'm gonna sit my ass down and eat the meal. Because this is the thing about media events, right? With restaurants. And I tell people, unless listen, bites and appetizers do not tell the whole story. The bites that I had, they were good. But nothing compares to a full seated dinner. So, there are times where folks will invite you and they say, oh, come to this media event or whatever. But then when you don't really do any posts or you don't really do any discussion about the food, I have to have a meal. I just think you wanted people to know about the opening, And I'm not speaking specifically about them. I'm just saying in general, I think, if you're in the food critic business, if you're reviewing restaurants, people want your Google review. They want they want you to whatever. For the people that follow me, and even you all, right, who listens, I can't tell you about a restaurant based off of a couple of little light bites. I can't. Unless you bringing me out entrees, you bringing out, whatever. I can't tell you. And full honesty and transparency, unless I have a meal there. So there are some of these influencers, I always tell people I'm not an influencer. I'm influential, but my job is not pushing products. I push ideas. No shade to influencers. I have friends that are influencers, but they're my friends who are influencers that are content creators or whatever the name is this week. They got contracts. They are there to promote. They're a part of the marketing team. They know what they do. Like my bestie Joshy's Philly, listen. My little brother, listen. That man gets paid. He has contracts. He gets a bag. That's why, let me not put all the tea out there, but I will say that he's there to do what he do. And a lot of times, if y'all notice, if you look at his videos, sometimes he's just only going to give you the ambiance. If there's not a meal on that plate, goodbye. A lot of people there are some of these content creators, no shade, that go to these quote unquote media events, and all you're seeing is appetizers and little small bites. Then y'all go to those restaurants and get pissed off and say the food wasn't good. Well, here's the thing. Those appetizers and those small bites be good. But what is the dinner giving? I'm grown. I'm a grown-ass man. I'll be 35 later this year. I don't promote small bites. I'll go to the event. I'll say, oh, look at this cute little bite. But I'm never going to tell anybody, review a restaurant off of vibes and small bites. I won't do it. So if you're like, oh my goodness, why I didn't see a post for Terra? Because I didn't have a meal at Terra. I went. You saw the IG story, but you didn't see no grid. Because I've learned, and this is the thing I learned over the years, like them little small bites and shit, that's cute. But when you're giving me a full course entree, does that match? So restaurants that like to get me to do a Google review or do other reviews in other places that I'm not, I tell people I will not review a restaurant unless I've had a full-fledged meal there. Period. That's just my rule. So I should be going to Terra next couple of weeks. I'll let y'all know my full thoughts about it. That's what happened with Borromini. Y'all remember Borromini? Y'all remember that? I went to the media event. It was some cute little bites. But I said to y'all, I really can't say much about it. And so I sit my ass down to have a meal. We had a meal. We had a deal. We had a conversation. I was able to give you all full thoughts about it. But we gotta, we gotta be real about what we're looking at and what we're doing, It's a lot of people out here just promoting these little bites, but that's their business. So, Tara, I went. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful space. The cocktails I did have cocktails. I liked them. The ones I had, they were good. They have a nice wine selection. I had some wine. Was feeling the wine thus far. Have to go back and try more, but it was cute. It looks cute. I don't know what the food is giving fully. The food I did have, the bites I did have, were promising. I feel like there's an identity thing there because I'm trying to figure out what direction they're going. There were some things that had like a Korean, Asian, East Asian influence, but then there was like an Italian steak bar energy with it. There was a lot of different directions the food was going, and so I couldn't really put my finger on exactly what was what. It was like a lot of fusions going on. Like there was like, okay, you got something that is giving Italian steakhouse, but then there's like this like, there was sushi, and there were like similar like Japanese type vibes with some of the dishes. So it was a very interesting like mix. So I guess fusions are in. I feel like the rise in fusions in restaurants is because they got diners who are indecisive about what the fuck they want to eat. So restaurants are now, I feel like, I've been noticing it's a trend across Philly restaurants. Is it just me? Have y'all noticed that too? Candace, tap in, baby. Like, is it just me, Candace? But like, Candace and I have gone to some restaurants. We be going. We be hitting some spots up. But I'm sitting to myself thinking like, we've gone to some places. Everybody's doing fusions, and fusions that I don't necessarily know if makes sense. But I'm wondering, is it because diners are like hard to track in this economy? Like, is the economy so all over the place that everyone don't really know where they want to go and what they want to do, what they want to eat? I don't know. I just have noticed this pattern lately with the fusions. Don't know how I feel about it quite yet. But I just feel like there's all these different fusions because I feel like diners are indecisive. So I don't know if somebody wants to go somewhere and get sushi. Is that the same place they want to get pasta? I don't know. But I feel like this is a new trend I'm seeing in the restaurant scene in Philadelphia. We're seeing a rise of fusions that are happening. And before you all start, I did hear about that controversy with that restaurant in the neighborhood. Listen, I want to make sure I'm right about which restaurant it is. But there was some drama with a particular Miss Saigon, Vietnamese restaurant. I never went to Miss Saigon because I had heard things about the service. Well, an influencer has popped off accusing it of being racially racist, basically. They were told by somebody connected with the marketing team that they did not bring them to the restaurant because they didn't want their type of audience or clients. And this is a black woman, a young black woman who was told this. There's always a way to communicate to people what you mean without being racist. If that's an accusation. Allegedly, this was the allegation that was made. Allegedly. I've never been invited. When I was at Eater, we did a brief announcement of the restaurant, but we never was invited there. Don't know why. I don't know why I didn't come. Don't know why, right? But I've heard for several months that there was an energy with service there that did not feel welcoming for younger black people. That's what I heard. And so when I saw this on Instagram, I was like, shit, I can't confirm nor deny it. And if I can't confirm nor deny it, what's your marketing team doing? The fact that I haven't been there or I never was invited to come, I mean, what does that say? What does it say? But I also think, too, to this conversation about clientele, right? Not every restaurant's for everybody. And I'm not talking about this influence in particular, but I want to be clear about other influences. I haven't really seen much of this young woman's content. But I do want to say this, though. In general, there are a lot of food influencers that feel entitled to restaurants. And they see restaurants and they think that because they got followers, that somehow that entitles them to being at a certain venue, yada, 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 yada. This is the shit, right? Here's the thing. I know PR firms. My husband has a PR firm. I know people who do it. Certain accounts expresses what type of clientele you will bring. And it's not based on necessarily racial or gender dynamics. It's about what type of content you post and what kind of people follow it. And so it's very important to make sure that the type of places you want to attract is the kind of content that you produce. And I think we're in a weird era now where there's so much desperation. I think food influencing is hit its peak. I think now we're going to see it plateau. I think it's plateaued. I think it's not going to necessarily die completely, but we've hit the peak of it. Like, it's so many people creating these pages. It's so many fucking paid, followers and bots and shit. The shit is now a bust, right? And so the people who are in it that are really successful in it, they're going to be fine. Like, I think Josh East Philly, my friend, is going to be good. He's established a base for over 5 years. He has a reputation. He's built the clientele. But I think a lot of these other people who are trying to pop up right now, it's like, who are you? And what do you do? And where's your fucking range? And what do you know about restaurants? Like I'm sorry, I'm gonna stand hard for my bestie, my little brother. That's my bestie. But like, Josh busts his ass, okay? And it really annoys me because I be wanting to get these girls together. And I don't mean girls as in actual women, but like the girls. I'm talking about all of these other influencers, these food influencers. They sit up and they see him somewhere. They see the crew, right? And they'll go, oh, Yuri's here. Why were we invited? Because you're not fucking us. That's why. Because you don't have the range. That's why. Because we're not the same. That's why. That's the fuck why. And he won't say it because he's a Capricorn, and you know how they do. They show up, they show them horns when they want to show them. But I'm a Libra, baby. I'm going to put it on the table. That's the fucking reason why. And I can give you a pie chart and a graph because you're not us and we're not you. And I'm not saying we're better. That's what you have to figure out on your own. But what I'm saying is that's why. Very simple. Because I get annoyed. We go to some of these events and someone will mention, oh, I saw you are there. They didn't invite me. And I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do about that? Maybe there's a reason. Oh, I'm just wondering, how did y'all get invited? Because we're us. I literally said that. One of them choked. I'm not going to tell you which one of them choked when I said that. But they were like, oh. I was like, you can read that however you want to read it. But I think that is the answer. We got invited because of who we are. Who we are and what we are, you figure out what that is. But that's the reason. Because we're who we are. Like, I've had moments with people when I don't even try to get like this. I really don't. But it gets annoying. Someone was like, yeah, because it's an undertone. Understand the undertone of disrespect. Somebody said to me, oh, I saw that, you was at the table with so-and-so, so-and-so. How did you get that? Because I'm Ernest Owens. And I did not blink. Because my mindset is, this person, you just got into the media mix maybe a year ago. For you to assume and have the audacity to assume that anywhere that I'm at, you're automatically entitled to because of what? You think we are the same? That ain't the way to do it. I tell people comparison will rob you of joy. Do not compare. Do not compare yourself to people. Do not compete where you don't compare. Don't compete at all. Compete with your fucking self. I don't get in the business of trying to compare myself to people. I don't. I try not to, unless there is literally something fundamentally off, right? But you got to be realistic about what you talk. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are people you got to be realistic about it, right? Like, see, I'm not trying to go there. I'm not trying to go there. But I want to be clear, right? I'll use a hypothetical. If you have a list that says the top 10 most influential artists of the 21st century, and you have Bruno Mars on that list, and you don't have Beyonce, yes, Beyonce should be looking, and her fans and people should be looking like, what the fuck list is this? How do you have Beyonce not on this list? Right? Yes. But if you are, say I'm about to get there, if you Keisha Cole, and you see a list that says the top 10 artists of the 21st century, and you looking at yourself like, why am I not on this list? And you're Keisha Cole, and you're like, well, Beyonce, you're on this list, why am I not? The fact that you're looking at Beyonce, see, the reality should not be why you're not in a room. You want to question why you're not in a room, you have a right to. The problem is when you compare yourself to somebody else that is in that room. So to the influencers that will look at Josh and go, well, why are you in there and I'm not in there? Why are you looking at Josh? Why are you not looking at all these other white people? See, that's the anti-blackness for me. You always look at the black person. You always look at the you know what I'm saying? Why is that the first person you looking at? Why are you comparing yourself to other black person? As if that person's competition. That person might be better than everybody else in that room. That ain't your person. You should be looking at these other lesser tier influencers that's in that room that is not there. Why you look at the black person that is Ernestly? That's the question I'll be having. So why did you look at Beyonce? You should look at Taylor Swift. You get what I'm saying here? Like, it's not even about wondering why you're not there. It's that why is it the comparison of another black person? I can't tell you how many times I've been in journalism spaces and there are other black journalists that are doing their thing. But when I'm in the room, I'm being asked, why are you here? How did you get here? Why are you asking another black person? There's all these other mediocre white journalists in this room that have not even achieved what I've achieved. Why are you not asking them why they're not here? See, it's your anti-blackness for me. You see what I did there? You see where I'm going there? And so that's the shit. And so now I just keep it plain. I'm Ernest Owens. Remember Rick James said it best? I'm Rick James, bitch. Listen, no, I'm not like that. But I'm just saying, that's my answer now. And if you don't know who Ernest Owens is, baby, Google. But we're not going, we popping our shit in 2026. I'm sick of it. I'm not about to let people pay in my face. So if that's cocky or confident, it is what it fucking is. But one thing it's not going to be is disrespect. Some of y'all guys start doing that in your respective fields. People are like, why you get the promotion? Because I'm so-and-so, so-and-so. That's why. Let them figure out why somewhere else. But don't let them play with you. When you got that promotion, when you got that award, you get that shout out, you got that, that opportunity, and someone looking at you and saying, how did you get that? As if you didn't earn that. You let them know who the fuck you are. You say, I am so-and-so. That's your answer. That's my answer. Wait, how did you get in here? Because I'm Ernest Owens. Stop letting them play in your face. Stop letting them play with you. Don't let them play with you. Keep your head on the swivel. It's real. It's real. I tell Josh all the time. We be going somewhere. He be like, oh, they asked this person. I said, tell them who the fuck you are. You know who the fuck you are. You let them know. And stop acting like they're your peers. I'm that friend. I'm that friend in the circle. If you didn't know who I was in the circle, now you know. I'm that friend. I'm that friend. I'm the friend that got the brick. Cause I don't listen. I don't let nobody play. My brother the other day, he has his job, he's doing his thing. Somebody was trying to play with him. I said, you let them know where you went to school and what you done did with yourself. And you tell them if they don't know, now they know. And you tell them you can give them some pointers. I don't play about my family. I don't play about my friends. I don't play about my folks. That's one thing about my circle. We're going to earn our shit. We're going to work hard. That's one thing we do. We work hard. We work smart. But I don't play. There's too many people that are out here just feel entitled to what people have based on what? Identity politics? That's what you probably had to do to get it, but that's not how the rest of us had to do it. And we need to make that clear. We need to make that clear. Because it's starting to get, it's getting real wild out here. Nah, pop your shit. Let people know. Because I'm letting people know. I'm not blaming. It's too much discrimination and bullshit that I have to deal with just as a black queer person in my industry, even with my talent. I'll be damned if somebody who don't have as much talent as me is questioning where the fuck I should be in any damn room. That's the problem. That's the problem. Is that it's already enough that we have to deal with in this industry. Josh deals with a lot as a openly queer, dark-skinned black man from Philly that's doing influencing. He deals with a lot of bullshit, colorism, all kind of stuff. And he's doing this successfully at the level to which he do. And I get annoyed when people try to play him or play with any of my friends. And so I don't play that. We're not doing that. We're not on my watch. And I'm the same way with what I do, because I've dealt with that shit. I've dealt with the paternalism. I've dealt with the homophobia and the racism. I deal with a lot of that shit. And I'm just at a point where I'm like, these backhanded compliments and these comments and these inquiries, fuck out of here. Yeah, I didn't know I was going to go in that direction, but I did. So, moving along, we went to Elkins Manor, which is out there at Elkins Park, I believe. It's far, but it was a beautiful-ass mansion. They've done decorated. There's some new renovations. The food is incredible because we really have food. I mean, they had like a scallop station. They had a steak frite station that was divine. I mean, it was so good. They had a little bar. They had like a speakeasy, cigar rooms. It was massive and it was gorgeous. And people can have weddings there. They can have galas there. I mean, they got huge ballrooms. It's beautiful in there. Beautiful property, great catering, great food, great. Listen, ballers only, baby. That was a baller's room, okay? It was a distance, but it was worth the distance because we ate and drank our way through it all. It was fabulous, a fabulous event. Elkins Manor is going to be, I think, the new hot venue. I think that it's going to be, there's there's Sescapé. Sescapé has their venues. They have lovely properties and people that have weddings and things there. But I feel like this Elkins Manor, the new look, the new vibe, I really feel like it's going to be the next, you're going to see in the next 2 years, a couple of big folks have their weddings there. I feel like we're going to see a bunch of big, fancy weddings and things taking place there. That's going to be like the new big spot, for sure. Then, of course, Friday night, because we've been out here in these streets. Friday night, I went to May, which is in Old City. The Lip Brothers, all of us went. And of course, one of our faves, Charnay, was also there. One of my favorite chefs in the city, Chef Montana Houston, he is the executive chef there now. So it's a whole new culinary direction. Some of the favorites from May, it was a popular Asian restaurant, cocktails, all the things, right? Old City, they went through new changes, took a break, did a whole new revamp of the space. It's beautiful. It's got a whole new redo. Architecture is beautiful. Some of the designers of Winston, Mr. Ivy, the architect designer, the interior designer, beautiful. It looks completely different than what it last looked like. I remember what it used to look like. It is an upgrade. More spacious, very spacious, more spacious than it was last time. They definitely did some moving around with the furniture, new designs. It's beautiful, just a beautiful space. The food is definitely an upgrade because Chef Montana Houston, he was our chef of the year for Eater in 2024. Yeah, I think it was 2024. Was it 2023? No, 2023. 2023, I think. Yeah, 2023, he was chef of the year. Yeah, chef of the year in 2023. Yep. Incredible talent. His bestie, who was the chef de cuisine when he was at the Avery, he was the Avery. Avery is gone, I believe. I think the Avery is no longer operating, I don't think. Or he's left Avery, of course. But I don't know what happened to the Avery. I think the Avery as a restaurant is closed. Yes, the Avery is closed down. And that was like last year. It was a moment, and then it just kind of went away, you know? So it's gone. Now he's left. Jameer Wimbley Cole, who was the chef alongside of Montana Houston, he is the executive chef at Ballers, that new spot in the Battery. Ballers, that's out there. That's kind of out there in that's around Fishtown in the Battery area. He is the executive chef over there at Ballers. So they're like a private club-esque vibe, membership club, sporting club thing. But the food there is really good. I went to the grand opening with Jamarcus, and the food was really good there. We got to actually try things. Like, we actually ate things. May, we had a section, Lit Brothers and Friends, had a section. All of us were there, which is, we always love when we able to, all four of us get together. Because throughout the week, Gio was out doing business. And so it was me and Josh and George Jamarcus, Josh, and I, all three of us were out most of this week. Like, we hung out 3 times this week, but 2 times we were together, and then George was missing in action. George came with us at May on Friday night, so all 4 of us were able to be together as a whole group, which is great, because a lot of times life is life, and man, we making it happen. But we were all 4 was able to get together on Friday. And it was fabulous. I mean, the drinks were great. The vibes were top tier. The food we had was good. I'm going to say this. Ooh. This is not messy. It's not messy, what I'm about to say. And there's no shade. No shade. I want to be clear about this. I sense that based on what I had there, that it reminds me of Black Dragon. Not all the way, because the recipes are very different, but the styling is going in a more urban-esque vibe. But it kind of gives me Black Dragon at a restaurant. The flavors, the soulfulness of it, not the same recipes or dishes, but that type of Black soulful Asian fusion. More on the Asian side, but there is a Black culinary take on this food that gives me, this is like if you was at an upscale Black Dragon with a better ambiance and a restaurant feel. That is what this restaurant is giving me. That is what I tried multiple dishes. Yeah, I tried the wings. I tried the lo mein. And there's more dishes coming that I didn't get to try. They're gonna bring oxtail to the mix, which sounds very familiar. That's what I'm getting so far from what I've tried. There's more dishes that's gonna come, and the rollout of menu is gonna come this weekend. But that is what I am sensing. I am sensing if Black Dragon had a more elevated, fancier restaurant vibe. Because Black Dragon isn't really a restaurant. It's a carry-out spot. There's a couple of seated, very limited, but it's very carry-out. And now they're doing delivery. And I've been dragging my feet, but I need, dragging my feet at Black Dragon to order the delivery. Because I remember when I first went, long lines. It was very, very popular, very, very popular, but it was so much hype. I mean, it was crazy. But it's been over a year. It's been long over a year now. So I think things are starting to get into its routine, its flow. I want to try it. I mean, it's very popular. People really do like Black Dragon. They do have an audience. But I really want to give it a try. So I guess I'm long overdue. I need to order it. I do feel, and this is my personal critique, that is a little pricey for delivery. I would prefer more of their dishes to be under $20 if you're trying to go delivery. That's just my opinion. But I mean, if I feel like splurging a little bit, because I do feel like once I'm spending over $20 for entrees, delivery, I'm kind of like, I kind of want to go inside or sit down. Like, I kind of feel like, I'm spending $30-something for an entree dish delivery. I want that on a plate. I need that to be served to me. I need to be somewhere. Like, these $15, $14, $16, whatever things I order off of Uber Eats, because I'm an Uber Eats girl. I love Uber Eats, right? I don't mind that. You know what I'm saying? Put it in the styrofoam, bring it home, right? Was the Caribbean D's? I order that all the time. I get my Indian food, whatever the deals. I love that. But you want me to get an entree over $20? Uber Eats delivery? My rule of thumb is that whenever I order something, the entree got to be under $20. Very seldom do I get things over $20 off entree. Like, let me be clear. The bill is always going to be more, right? But when I order things, different dishes and things like that, I like to order, like if I want some sides, maybe a dessert, maybe I want to get, a drink or something, whatever the case is. Like, I want to be able to get a full thing. If you're hitting me with entrees over $20, it becomes a skip for me. Because I feel like at that point, I'm going to want to pick my shit up. I'm going to complain if the shit ain't right. The portion, I'm going to feel some type of way. I need to, I kind of feel like when the dishes are over $20, so when I looked at Black Dragon, there was a lot of dishes, Black Dragon over $20, 25, 26 and stuff. And I'm like, because then once you start doing delivery and everything, that's like 30. That's a restaurant now. Now we in some type of restaurant situation now. We're having a different kind of conversation. So you really can't fuck this up. That's my mindset about that. But, we're going to see. But May, I like it. I like what they're doing with it. Because no shade, last time they had it, right? It was giving Panda Express on a plate. That was my opinion. It was giving Panda Express on a plate. This feels different. Now, I heard from the sous chef and the team, they're trying to go into like a Mon type energy. Calm down. Calm down, because the price point got to match that area. Like real estate, there's a lot of politics, but they have ambitions though. And I can appreciate the ambitions. I can appreciate the ambitions that they want to elevate their food to get to that point of Mon. I just don't know if that type of clientele is in that area. And let me get back to that. And that's a full circle moment earlier about what I was saying about influencers and knowing your range, right? That sometimes it's not racial profiling, right? Or demographics wise, right? It's understanding price point and audience. If you have an Instagram page that promotes a lot of what I call junk food, then if I was a PR firm that looked at your page and I don't see you dressed to go to a fine dining restaurant, I'm not going to invite you to a fine dining restaurant, right? If you're somebody who's never, going to a steakhouse, I'm not going to let you be, my restaurant is not going to be the first restaurant you go to, the first steakhouse you go to if I got a budget. Like, I'm not going to, I want pros. And even me, for example, I think throughout my culinary critique career, restaurants that invite me are mostly sit-down restaurants, high-end restaurants. I don't get hit up by, like, the chicken pizza of the world. I don't get hit up by, like, the mom-and-pop shops that are, like, selling, like, hoagies and Sam. They don't hit me up. And that's okay. I you know why? Because I can go there and I can pay for it and I have no problems, right? But if you are the new hot spot and you looking for a bad bitch to stop by, I get it. Hypothetically. This is all jokes, okay? But seriously, though, like, there's a certain person that they want to see because they're looking at who's your audience. Lawyers, business folks, political insiders, academics, like degree carriers, upper echelon folks follow my page. So they're looking to go to places like that to go, right? If your page got folks that are looking for the next mom and pop shop, next hole in the wall spots that have cocktails that sugar the rims on the bar table. Like, I'm just saying, like, there's a certain type of crowd for that. You know your crowd. Nobody's going to want to put their content at a high-end restaurant next to some Piggly Wiggly that you done went to across the street. The influencers, a lot of these food influencers, I think have an identity crisis. They want to be everything for everybody, right? They want to be everything for everybody. And they don't necessarily have a certain type of, curation or aesthetic for their content that makes them. Like, there's some people that have a broad appeal. And so with May, I feel like they got to figure out, they got to guide people through it. I don't think that it is a foregone conclusion that they cannot elevate itself. I definitely think they have the potential, but it's going to take steps to get people to there. You want to know a restaurant that did that? I think pretty well. South has built itself up to being talked about and looked at as a different type of restaurant in Philadelphia. When it first opened and came in the scene, it was kind of given Booker's, where Booker's is today. Booker's wants to be something more, but it just won't allow itself to, because there's just too much turnaround. There's no consistency with the chefs and the recipes and the focus. It's just too much turnaround there for it to be where it needs to be. But when I think about South, I think had a Booker's type appeal when it first started. But over time, they got really focused on what their menu is and what it's not, who they want to be and who they don't want to be, and what it's for and what it's not, and who it's not for. And they've really owned that space. Because I think a lot of restaurants, when they come out, they want everybody to come. But let's be real, every restaurant is not for everybody. It's not. It's not. There are some restaurants that are, and the restaurants that are very clear on who they are and what they're for succeed. Not always, but the ones that do. Provenance, excellent. Michelin star. They know who they are. They know what they're for. They know what they want to do. And they're unapologetic about it. Period. Okay? Vernick, the Vernick brand. The Vernick brand knows what it wants to be. It knows what their ambitions are, what their culinary goals are, and everyone either shows up and rises to the occasion or they get lost. Own your space. Own who you are and own what you are and who you're for. That's been my best advice to anyone who's trying to have a brand, a business, company, whatever. You got to know who you are and what you're for and what you're not for. When a person tells me that's not a politician, because that's a little different. Public services should be for everybody, okay? Public education, water, Medicare, all the things should be for everybody, okay? That is for everybody. However, if you are an individual niche brand or company or business that is independent, right? If I ask you, or even your music, whatever the case is, if I ask you, who's your book for? If I ask you, who's your clothing for? If I ask you, who's your restaurant for? And you're not some fast food McDonald's type of joint, and you say everybody, I'm going to say you need to go back to the drawing board. Everybody has an audience. I'm not for everybody. I'm not. I know my audience. Am I going to share all that right now? Yeah. Not quite. But I know my audience. It took me some time. Doing this podcast for 5 years, I know who my audience is now. It's evolved. I have to be honest with you. It's evolved. But I know who my audience is now in 2026. Took me 5 years. But once I started speaking to my crowd, speaking to my audience, engaging the demographic to which I want listening to this, the shows I think have gotten better, in my opinion. I mean, this is a great fucking podcast. But I just feel like I'm very aware of who this show is for. And now I can cut through a lot of the bullshit to get to the things that I want to get to and speak to and talk about. The format for this show is not the same format it was 5 years ago, for those who remember. But now we have a format. Now we have a flow, because it's just research. Sometimes you have to get out in the wild and figure it out. But I know who my audience is now. It's not to say that other people cannot latch on, but some people may not stay on. And that's okay. And there are some people that get to a point in their life where they may have not been ready for an Ernestly speaking, but now they are. And so sometimes people evolve and grow to the places where they can receive and accept it, right? I think about steak. Listen, when I first came into the steak eating game, I was medium well. Now I'm medium rare. But it took me some time. Now, let me be clear. Medium well was like when I was in college was medium well. By the time I graduated, by the time I got to 30, it became medium rare. I started playing around with medium in my late 20s. Then I got to medium rare by the time I got 30. It's about taste. It's about evolving to that place. There are certain steakhouses that looked at me crazy when I asked for medium well, as they should. And as I got older, I began to realize why. But again, it's about acquired taste. You just have to get there. Like, I drink red wine. I love red wine. When I was younger, oh God, it was so bitter. I didn't like the taste. But your palate evolves as you get older. Things that you wouldn't eat. I used to not like oysters. Now I love oysters. I love oysters. I love caviar. I get caviar. I used to didn't get caviar. I was like, caviar, it's not bad, but I don't get the point of it. Oh, baby, I get it now. And now I get it so much that I get annoyed with how people eat caviar. Because you are not eating it properly, a lot of you all. Do not put that on your fucking hand. You're not a savage. Eat it on a Pearl and Mary spoon or put it on something that is just as complimentary, okay? And my younger brother, these are first world problems, y'all, but he wants to eat caviar. He likes to eat fried chicken. He likes to put caviar on fried chicken. Oh, it cringes me. But I love that he's eating caviar. I just don't like that he's eating it on fried chicken wings. But I know. I know, it's my, it's going to say, Ernest, you're elitist. Fuck it. Sometimes it's not elitism. Sometimes it's just taste. Put that chicken wing away. Put it on a Bellini. Okay, rant over. All right, moving along. So May, I digress. But May is promising. May is very promising. I think there's some potential there. I'm curious to see how that menu evolves, and we'll keep an eye on it, okay? So when you all go out, to your spots, let a brother know what you think about. Let me know what you think, But yeah, outside of that, a lot of y'all been asking me about my ice cream love. I've been in love with Jenny's. Jenny's got some new spring flavors out. They got a key lime pie flavor that I'm in love with. This Basque cheesecake with cranberry jam flavor. Oh my God, I had it last night. And I'm on black tie tiramisu, which is like a mocha mascarpone, like ice cream with ladyfinger cookies and a chocolate dress. Oh, so good. And this key lime pie, it is like tropical tart. They got this creamy like key lime ice cream with that graham cracker swirl. Very classic, but very good. But this Basque cheesecake with brambleberry jam. It's got a burnt sugar, caramel, and cheesecake ice cream, and it has a very sweet tart brambleberry jam. Most times when they do cheesecake flavors, they put that crisp in it. This does not have that. And I thought I was going to be missing a little bit of that crisp that I would want for something like this. But actually, it works well. Like, I don't need the crumble in it. But I feel like that's always a predictable flavor, though. But this is very different, though, this Basque cheesecake. It's very good. Really, really like it a lot. So, yeah, very spring forward. All three of the flavors are, like, good. Like, all three of the flavors are good. I like all three of the flavors. So, yeah. We're going to talk about my appearance. Well, my special guest on The Record with Ernest was on Word. We're going to talk about that later in the show. That was Jay Young, Councilmember Jay Young Jr. Great conversation. Very interesting conversation. We're going to talk more about that later in the show. But a little quick announcement. Save the date for Saturday, April 11th. More details will come. But I'm doing a keynote event with a brunch event that is going to be a big free event. It's going to be a brunch and learn event. I'm going to be talking about the industry, media industry. If you're interested in coming, DM me. I am going to put the flyer out very, very soon this week. Details are coming, so stay tuned. But if you're free, this is going to be like an afternoon, like the early afternoon hour. Like early, like late morning, early afternoon type of brunch and vibe, food, and it's going to be very lovely. It's going to be on Saturday, April 11th. So this is coming up very, very soon. So if you're interested in attending, let me know. It is a free event. If you're free, DM me, say, look, I would love to come. I'll send you the details, but I want you to know I'm going to be a keynote speaker at this event. It's going to be a good fireside chat. I'm going to be talking about the industry at large, going to be taking pictures, for some of y'all that want to see me in the wild. It is a limited engagement. So the moment I see that link, if you're sure you can come, you better RSVP fast because as you can imagine, tickets are going to run out because it is a free-facing event. So stay tuned. It's going to be in collaboration with the Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists. So stay tuned. You don't want to miss it. All right. Now, let's get into hot topics. So Trump's world right now is on fire. TSA, he has restored pay, even though there was chaos this week with TSA. Still a lot. I mean, first of all, once he brought ICE out to TSA, the question was like, what the fuck? Longer lines, they didn't help slow down the lines. They kind of were just there. Workers were not being paid. That was fucked up. It just was a clusterfuck. And we kind of talked about that last week, that this was coming. Fortunately for myself, I don't have any current plans to travel in the month of April, May either, June. We never know because it's going to be Pride Month coming up. But I have no plans to travel by plane. I am traveling. I'm taking trains, automobiles, buses possibly, but we're not doing any actual planes. So planes, trains, automobiles, no. Trains, automobiles. Okay, that's it. We're not doing any planes. I'm trying to avoid air travel as much as possible with everything that's going on. Until they figure it out. But it looks like right now this government shutdown is in chaos because Trump wants his SAVES Act, and there are people, some Democrats are starting to like entertain it. Like, oh, well, why can't we have ideas? Do y'all not understand that this man is not doing this to protect voters. He's trying to fuck over voter rights because there are many folks begin to speak out about this. And I've even explained this to you all that this is not like this whole proof of citizenship stuff, right? It's not going to just, it's going to impact senior citizens. It's not about, oh, people got to prove themselves. Do y'all really understand what is being asked in the SAVES Act? It's not just ID. It's about matching IDs, birth certificates, to match last names. Most women have changed their last names, but have not legally changed their birth certificates when they change their married last names. Some individuals have gotten ID changes, but the birth certificates do not match. Not everybody has a fucking passport, right? Like I have all these things. I have a See, let me put y'all on game. Didn't I tell y'all asses a couple of months ago? I talked about this. I'm gonna bring this up again. Go get you a passport ID. Go get your passport ID. If you have a passport, get your ass a passport ID. I'm going to say this again. Get yourself a passport ID because now we're at that point where that passport ID is low-key a U.S. citizenship ID. I keep saying this, and people ignore me when I say this. I feel like a passport ID is like a U.S. citizenship ID. It pretty much, like when people ask for a passport, the only way you get a passport is through the government, right? State IDs are being called into question nowadays. Real IDs are not as real as people want to treat them, right? IDs are no longer the only way that they want to verify people, right? They want to now show multiple forms of ID. I've heard stories that people at TSA that a state ID was not enough. They wanted to see another form of ID. What is another form of ID, you ask? Social Security card, possibly, right? Social Security card, a passport, right? Or a passport ID, right? That is what I'm getting at. If you can get you a passport ID, I recommend you get one. That is this week's, well, my number one highly recommended thing of the week. If you can, go get you a passport ID. Even if you have not renewed your passport. If your passport is up for renewal this year, renew the passport and get the ID along with it. I've been getting all of my friends on that tip. Like my brother, my younger brother who got his passport, I helped him get a passport. I made him get a passport ID too. I did. When I renewed my passport, I got a passport ID as well. Because here's the thing. For starters, when you are trying to get a job, right? When they ask for those two forms of ID, they ask for a state ID, right? But then they ask for some type of governmental thing, right? A social security card or a passport. Whatever. Let me tell y'all something. The passport pretty much embodies all of the type of documentation you would need. So birth certificate, if you need to have a birth certificate, whatever you need to get the passport, right? Once you get that, it's not saying the birth certificate is illegitimate, but many people will not ask you for a birth certificate in lieu of a passport. So that was why, like, I think about my growing up, my parents, like, they had my birth certificate. Do I have my birth certificate? I think I might have it in my possession, maybe a copy of it. But like when you get older, it gets harder to keep up with those type of documents. Like you might have them, but like you may not. Like my birth certificate, like my mom had it for years. But the thing was that because I had a passport, I didn't have to necessarily go back or get her to mail it because that's even sketchy, right? Mailing a birth certificate? Like what? Like that's a big deal. Like I had to get my social security ID, all those things. When you get a passport, that is already in the system. They already have that documentation. So anyone who has a kid that's in college or you right now may have been on the fence, you don't get a passport just because you plan to go abroad. You get a passport so that you can always have an alternative to your birth certificate. Look at me putting y'all on game. So for many years, for over 10 years, I did not have my birth certificate. My mom had it, okay? I never had to show that birth certificate because I had a passport. And if you listen very carefully, people will say birth certificate or passport. I get it. A lot of people, but let me be very clear. The SAVES Act does not need to be passed because most people should not have to provide a passport in order to vote in the U.S. That's bullshit. This is a deterrent because most of these people, right, who do not have a passport, do not have birth certificates and things like that, they are the people that will most likely in certain states, like in the South, will most likely vote Democrat. So this is a way of voter suppression. I just hope the Democrats fight the hard fight. I do. I hope that they fight the hard fight and really resist against this. And I think there are some Republicans that don't support this. So we're going to see. Right now, Trump wants the GOP, the senators, to keep their asses in Congress and not go on Easter break. Ted Cruz, Marsha Blackbird, or whatever her name is, she's out here, playing around. Blackburn is her name, U.S. Senator. She's a Republican senator in Tennessee. There's cameras showing them trying to sneak out and head out on flights and shit. Nah, bring that ass back because he wants what he wants. But at the end of the day, I don't know. If that SAVE Act goes through the way it is, it's going to be a problem. But there's gridlock because they cannot get the required amount of U.S. senators to support it. The Republicans don't have it. And so there's going to have to be a compromise. Trump is trying to do everything in his power to force it. Don't know if that's going to happen. And I also say this about Trump because he's got some drama right now. So CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Committee, they tried to have an orthodoxy of its speakers. There are fissures. There are fissures in the party. Okay? There is. They're divided. The Republican Party is divided. There are divisions. And no one wants to talk about it, but it is. They just had their Conservative Political Action Conference in Texas, okay? CPAC was in Texas this past week. There were people literally cheering about impeachment, okay? Impeachment for who? Donald Trump, the leader of their party. Why would they, be cheering for that if everything was all right at Mega Home? It's not. There is some real divisions that are taking place. And look, Marjorie Taylor Greene, there's some people that's supporting her. There's some people who are. There's this right-wing commentator named Brandon Straka who really, I thought was going to, stand up for Trump. But he kind of said, hey, when did we become the left? When did we become hive-minded, mean, and tribal? Which was interesting. He was pushing back against this quote-unquote directive that is going out that Marjorie Taylor Greene is a traitor. And, this is what he says. He's referring to the former congresswoman from Georgia. She done dumped Trump. And, he said that, listen, and if you want to be a part of the in crowd, it is mandatory that you must hate her too. So he's accusing the left, of being this way. Even though you're at the CPAC conference, man. Like, what are you talking about, right? But he wasn't the only one. Matt Gaetz of Florida, who was a former congressman, they're not feeling Trump on some things, Even Steve Bannon, who's been with Trump nearly since day one when it comes to his presidential aspirations, he has said that sending these troops to the region, the Republicans would have to decide for themselves what quote unquote America First actually stands for. The war in Iran is tearing them apart. It's tearing them apart. It's going to divide them because the whole argument was that they were not going to create new wars. I don't know. He said it best when he said his speech. This is again this guy. Because I was watching some of the clips, on social media, on YouTube. I gotta see what's going on out here, But that Brandon Straka guy said it best, and I quote: "If you call yourself a patriot, but you believe that it is your obligation to only praise or only worship your president, then you must not be a patriot of this country. Because leader worship is how citizens behave in nations that aren't free." Stand culture, stand political stand culture. Ba 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 ba. Remember I told y'all that? Stay woke. Stay woke. Message. It's all coming together. Now, Democrats, this No Kings protest. This is like what, the third or second iteration of this damn thing. I struggle with this. I really do. I do. I have so many thoughts about it. Oh, God, I don't know how I feel. I mean, yes, these are crowded protests, one of the hugest in American history, thousands, millions of people. Okay, pros, cons. That's how I'm going to do this. The pros. Everybody shows up differently to how they want to resist Trump. Everybody is showing up differently. Some people can't go on social media or confront the government powers that be in confrontational ways. A protest is an opportunity to expose young people, which by all means, young people are different, but expose them to ways of protest, and every bit of action is useful, whether it's a protest or it's voting at the polls or boycotting things or, lobbying legislators, to actually act on a particular policy. All hands should be in this fight. That's what they say. They say that everyone can do their part. And we shouldn't criticize and discourage how people show up in this resistance, is what they say. So if somebody decided to go out over the weekend with their 68-year-old grandmother to with a poster and a flag, we shouldn't shame those people for doing that. Right. Okay. Those are the pros, right? That's what is being said. There's got to be a space for everybody to show up. Right. All right, the cons. Here's my thing. And this has been my critique since the very beginning. That would be okay for young people. That would be okay for senior citizens. That would be okay for them. Because I do believe that protests are a way to get people. When I was young, right, when I was in college, I think, was it college? Yeah, I think Occupy, Black Lives Matter was some of my first protests that I participated in as a college student. When I was younger and I thought I was being vegetarian, I did go to some PETA things when I was very, very young. But I'm a carnivore. But I still understand some of the concerns that PETA, their tactics, not all their tactics, right? But I get it. I get some of it. Some of the shit I'd be like, you ain't gotta throw paint on people now. But But when I was younger, I did do some PETA stuff when I was little. When I was younger. But outside of that, college was a space for me to go to protests, big and small. Some that were campus focused, some that were hyper local, some against my own alma mater at the time when I was a college student. Because Penn has still got shit that they need to step up on. But, as I've gotten older, I recognized that there was more that I could do. With the resources that I have, with the connections that I have, going to a protest is the least that I could do personally. And so my biggest critique and concern is that so many people that I see that go to those No King rallies that are people who are influential, that have platforms, they're going for spectacle. They're going and giving themselves a pat on the back to feel good about themselves. This ain't revolution. And maybe that's what it is for me. I think that that's the framing of this whole issue for me. I am past resisting Trump. I think that's why the No Kings rally doesn't really appeal to me personally, is because I'm at a point in my life where I'm recognizing that even when Trump was not the president, we still had some fucked up issues. Even before Trump was even a presidential candidate, we still have fucked up issues. So much of the conversation is to get done with Trump to do what? To go back to politics as usual? Absolutely the fuck not. And I think the conversations I want to have with people that are going to those marches is, well, what is the answer? And so many of them are so obsessed with Trump that that's all they care about, is to impeach Trump. Okay, you impeach him. He's not in office. Now what? You think that shit is still going to be nice? Maybe for white folks it will be. But for my black gay ass, it's not. It's not. It's not going to be. I don't want politics to go back to normal. I want an entire overhaul of the system. I want a revolution. I want liberation. I want more than just Trump resistance. I think Trump resistance was what got us 2020, but it didn't keep us after that. Trump resistance does not get this country back on track, because even when we did do it to get him out of office, things were not back on track, which made people think that giving him a second chance was the better answer. That's not enough. We're past the point of Trump resistance. I'm post-Trump. I am. I don't care. I'm beyond just the conversation about him and him alone. Democrats are so cowardice. They are. They're cowards because their whole focus is just like, let's get everybody together to say we told you so. You didn't tell us shit. Because if you really did tell us so, then you would have did better to begin with. When Biden got when Biden got elected in 2020, when he came back to the White House after serving as vice president for 8 years prior, when he came back, he should have went harder. Harris should have went harder. That's how I know that they're not actually invested, clearly, in something bigger than resisting Trump. Because they thought that Trump out of office meant that that's all they had to do. That going back to politics as usual was what people wanted. That's not what people want. The crazy part is that it's a yes and. Yes, we want to resist Trump, but we also want something different. The problem with the Democrats is all they know how to do is fight against Trump and nothing different. That is why we fall into this same trap. So the reason why I am not crazy about the No Kings protests is because it's still obsessed over Trump, as if that's the only thing that we need to do. And everyone keeps saying, oh, we can walk and chew gum and say we can do these other things. Well, when are we going to do those other things? It's a year and we still not done those other things. Y'all been chewing on Trump's gum, but where was the walking? We still have not moved shit. So that's my issue with this, is that we're still talking about Trump. But then when Trump is out of office, you're going to talk about how there's so much stuff we're going to have to undo from Trump. That's what was said since the last fucking 4 years. It's not enough. We have to have a revolution. And I just feel like there's nothing revolutionary about the No Kings protest. It's not. It's safe. It's... What the fuck is that? I don't know. The organizers do not reflect the communities to which we come from. The people that are speaking and talking are in the most innocuous, safe shit. This ain't it. This ain't it. This ain't it. This is a joke. This is a sham. I thought I was supposed to be doing pros and cons. Again, for young people and older people that are trying to learn what not to do, go to that. And then, once you done dip your feet in that, let's talk about what the resistance need to look like. And it's not centered on Trump. And so anyone who is hyper obsessed with Trump solely is missing the point. This is one thing that a lot of you all tell me you like about this podcast, is that so many podcasts that you all listen to from all these washed up ass political consultants who act like they knew what they were doing, but they were all for sale, is that they're so hyper focused on critiquing Trump and also trying to, play both sides of the Democratic arena. Listen, I see the problems. I named them, and I provide alternative solutions. A solution, since we all asked for them, right, is that I want this energy for local issues. I want us to fight the resistance in our own backyards. The resistance is neither solely Republican nor solely Democrat. The resistance is excessive power. And that is being done by multiple factors and factions of the political establishment, whether it's the GOP or it's the Democrats. The two-party system, as it currently is an oppressive force towards liberation. There are some, right, that will say pick your lesser evil. Yes, let's do that, right? Because that is what harm reduction looks like. But harm reduction is not liberation. It's not actually invested in healing. It's putting a Band-Aid on something. And so harm reduction would be to vote for a Democrat in this current situation. It's harm reduction. It's not liberation, though. It's not the end-all, be-all. It's harm reduction. It's not going to cure anything. It's not going to save everything, but it is a way to give us another fighting day, right? Because under a Trump regime, because of all these attacks, we can't move anything forward. We can't even see a pathway because there is so much gridlock. Harm reduction looks like, in certain cases, in these types of cases, right? Voting is an act of harm reduction. Voting is voting for the lesser of evil so that you can have some reduction of that evil, right? And it also means voting for a candidate that you know can actually win, that can actually get you closer to where you need to go, even if they're not opening the door for you. You see what I'm saying? It's the least resistance. And so for some people who are just like, I don't want to vote, you can just go die. I don't mean that to be, no, actually I do. You cannot say that you're trying to get communities on a pathway to liberation and to healing and to restoration and basically throw your vote in the trash and let the powers that be. That's reckless. That's a suicide mission. If you want to be a martyr, then you don't vote. Not voting at this point in the game is not using every tool at your arsenal. Every tool is not going to get you liberation the same, but it will get you closer to it. I just do not advise anyone to not vote. If you choose not to vote, then you are choosing to just say fuck it all, which means you want to be a martyr, which means you're on a suicide squad, which means you're reckless as fuck. I can't afford not to vote. So when people say they're choosing not to vote, then you're actually choosing to just say fuck it. Because at that point, when you don't vote, we see what happens. We get Trump. And the issue that I see in some movement spaces is that there's a grifting off of trauma. Because these individuals will be the same people that will say, oh my goodness, let's get together. We need aid. We need mutual aid to support people through these trying times. Well, you know, if we did not have Trump in office, the trying times wouldn't be as trying. We wouldn't be so exhausted. We wouldn't be so, resource deplete. We wouldn't have so many barriers to funding and access to help our elders and our children. Like, this is a choice. So when you say you don't want to vote, then you have given it up. You say voting not going to change anything. Actually, voting changes a lot of shit. It actually do. And so I think my issue is that people are not selling this correctly. Okay, the Democrats, the moderates, and the centrists are like, leave it to us. We'll take care of the rest. Just vote us in and we'll take care of you. Nah, homie, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I don't. I don't vote for you because I agree with you all the way. I don't vote for you because I like you. Some people I vote for I like, but not most of them I don't. I vote for you because it's a form of harm reduction so I can stay on your ass. That's why I vote for you. And I think we need to understand the nuances of voting and why people vote. We're not having sophisticated conversations around voting. We're having these very transactional conversations that are not rooted in actual complexity around it, right? Because then people call it hypocrisy. How can you vote for this person, and vote? They're all the same. No. That's not how this works, right? If you go to a doctor's office and you need to fight for your life and live, you may not support pharmaceutical companies, but if given a drug that can help you prolong your life, do you take it or do you die for the cause in the name of saying, fuck pharmaceutical companies, I'm going to die. So I will not get Pfizer. I will not get a Moderna vaccine. I'm just going to die to not get a vaccine because pharmaceutical companies are multi-billion-dollar corporations. And what the fuck are we talking about? Right? There's common sense here, right? When you are living in a world of capitalism, when you're living in a world of racism and white supremacy, in order to completely opt out of the system, you would literally not exist. The goal is not to be suicidal. The goal is not to just give up. The goal is to live, to fight, to see another day. It's also an opportunity to challenge the systems as they are, and you can get wins. There has been wins. If there was not wins, I would still be enslaved. If there were no wins, I would not be able to be married. I would not be able to be gay. I would not be able to do this podcast and talk my shit. So there are wins, people. But there takes strategy. And what's missing is strategy. Because the people who dominate the conversation on the national front don't have strategies because they don't want to listen to people who are impacted by this shit, that are deeply impacted by this shit, right? They want to have the magic bullet. And because they don't have it, they ignore anyone who do because their egos are inflamed. I think I snapped right there. I think I cooked right there. I think I cooked. Took me some time to get there though. I you know, you live and you learn, right? But we're somewhere here. Now, speaking of some good things that Democrats are doing, because Cory Booker got his book Stand, bless his heart. Somebody I know has a brother who's the editor of that book, bless his heart. You know, I got a chance to read the book, Stand by Cory Booker. Not Stan, Stand. It's the same old. And I think that we get a sense of trying to understand where he is coming from, but Cory Booker is Cory Booker. Cory Booker is Cory Booker. He's going to be Cory Booker, y'all. No matter how much he tries to make himself thoughtful or passionate, Cory Booker is Cory Booker. What a disappointment. He is one of the biggest political disappointments of the past decade. I'm very disappointed how he turned out. You know, one would argue this is who he's always been. But you want growth, right? You want growth. You want to see people get right or get better, right? There's no room. Do all politicians just become a big fucking failure and disappointment? Oh, no. But speaking of which, AOC and Bernie Sanders are out on the road. They're pushing something big. And it's something that I actually personally care about. And I think we all should. They want to fight against data centers. They're introducing the Artificial Intelligence Data Center Moratorium Act, and they just announced it, to regulate AI infrastructure. Now, they've been on that fight obligatory tour, but they do want to do some AI regulation. They want to halt the construction of new AI data centers until federal regulations are established. And a lot of this is driven by environmental and workforce concerns that they have. We love it. We love it. I'm here for this. AOC and Bernie taking on AI right now, genius. Genius. I have no complaints. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Finally, leadership. I have no complaints, no notes. Hell yeah. Let's go. Because it's long overdue. It's long overdue. And we really need to have this conversation. This conversation is long overdue, and I'm happy they're stepping up to the plate to say something. Now, my big thing on media this week, there's a lot of media changes happening right now. But the big one that I want people to really dive into, even though there's some complications with this conversation, but I do feel like one part of it is a big deal. So Meta has some legal consequences. They have a $375 million fine in New Mexico for failing to protect children from predators on Instagram and Facebook. Simultaneously, a Los Angeles jury found Meta and YouTube liable for causing youth mental health issues through addictive platform design. One of the cases resulted in a $4 million settlement in damages. Okay? Meta's got to pay $4.2 million. YouTube got to pay $1.8 million. There's some corporate liability. This is the first time in U.S. history that a U.S. jury has found a major social media company liable for such addictive products. They made CEO Mark Zuckerberg have to testify. There are 41 states and Washington, D.C. that is also suing them for claims about their platforms, and they're talking about it. It is massive lawsuits. And, Meta is trying to say they disagree with these verdicts, of course. They are saying they disagree, and they said they're going to evaluate legal options. They're probably going to try to appeal this. But this ain't going anywhere, y'all. It's not going anywhere. This is a big deal. So, local politics, which, this week was heavy. Where do I begin? I guess we can get right to it. The tax increase, right? Mayor Cherelle Parker, like last week we talked about the taxes. Last time we talked, the tax was 20 cents on Uber rides, right? Rideshare, Lyft. If you do Lyft, Uber, those are the major babies, right? It was going to be a 20 cents per ride. That was the initial proposal. Now, the mayor has increased it by $1. Yes, you heard that correctly. It will be an additional $1. It will be $1 per ride, not trip, ride. It will be $2 a trip. So if you go, round trip, you go one way, back, forth, to and fro, each individual ride, there will be $1 added. Okay, $1 tax added. It's not a good look. So for someone like me who Ubers everywhere, let's say on a good night, I might Uber to multiple locations at a given day. Maybe, let's say this upcoming Tuesday, right? I'm going to go teach. Well, no, was it Monday? Let me think. I'm going to say Tuesday, for example. Tuesday, I'm going to have to go downtown for a meeting. I'm going to have to come back home, change, get dressed, go back out for dinner to go see, a show, and then come back home. That's about 4 rides, right? 2 trips but 4 rides. That's going to be if this tax was in place, right? That would be an additional $4 added to whatever else I'm paying. Okay? And if I do that 3 times a week, possibly, that's about $12. Now, if somebody Ubers, let's say a week, to work, they may say, look, I'm going to take a trip to work and take a trip back. And they do that 5 days a week. That's $10. That's an additional $40 a month off of the tax alone. That's just the tax. That's an additional $40 added to their livelihood. That doesn't include how much the ride is because it's a flat $1 tax. So let's say, for example, your ride, you just needed a $10 Uber ride. You're going to have an additional $1 added. But let's say your ride was $25. It's still $1 nonetheless. So there is a situation where people might think twice before they might ride an Uber or however, right? The problem is that public transportation is already a hot mess, right? Like public transportation is already like a hot mess in the city. SEPTA was breaking down less routes. So a lot of people in lower income communities who had to get to work or to get their kids somewhere couldn't depend on SEPTA as an alternative and still really can't in some ways. So because of that, people began to start using Lyft and using Uber and using other services. Now they're about to experience that tax just for the reliability of transportation in a situation where public transportation has been unreliable. Like personally, I've not been on public transportation like on a regular basis. I haven't been on that since 2019. It's been like 6 years, 7 years. It's been about 7 years, I would say. I haven't really been on public transportation. Like I used to go on a regular basis, like, what's crazy? I can say in this decade, I have not rode SEPTA on a regular basis in the past decade. Like in this current decade, I have not rode SEPTA. I have not rode SEPTA in the 2020s. I have not. One, because of the pandemic, I was very, very, very scared. And then even after the pandemic, there was just a lot of delays. Like, it's hard. Like, I can't imagine with all these cut routes and these routes or whatever, like, it's hard to depend on that. Like, if you're trying to go somewhere, safety, sanitation, like, SEPTA's a hot mess right now. And you're taxing people who cannot rely on that public transportation. There are people I know whose kids cannot go on buses, school buses, like at a certain age cutoff. They can't rely on SEPTA to get to school on time. Like, this is a real inconvenience. And so for you to tax people and know that this is going to be a barrier or a problem, it's so clear to me that even when the city talks about like the income of people who ride and this, that, third, the data is so fucked up. Like, everybody is using rideshare. There is a basis of it. Like, I'm like, do you talk to people? Like, I really want to ask the financial director, Rob DeBoe. Like, a lot of people are out here, like, the propaganda that is being made right now by the city to try to get people to talk about these taxes. It's just so, they're just going on ad nauseum, acting like, oh, this is not going to be a tax on poor people. Do you understand that this is a tax that is impacting a majority of working class people? Like it's not a wealthy tax. It's not like they in their mind think that Uber and Lyft is being rode by like very, very elite wealthy people. Like, yes, people like myself have money, right? And yes, I do ride Uber, right? And listen, will I be able to swallow the tax personally? Yes. Personally, myself, yes. But the truth of the matter is several things. One is that I know a lot of other people ride Lyft and Uber that do not have that cannot afford it. First of all, not afford these additional taxes. Right. That is one truth. Second, what I also know is that this is not the only way that we can provide funding for the school district. So the reason why they increased is they said that the day after they proposed it, the school district came back to them with some new numbers that revealed that there was a bigger deficit than what they previously imagined. So they thought that 20 cents would be enough, and that was going to raise around, I guess, $9 million, $11 million potentially, like around $9 million some dollars. And they realized that, I guess, that the deficit was like over $300 million, and that they weren't going to really be able to make a real dent in it if they only had the tax at that low amount. So they raised it to $1, so that now the number is up to like $47 million is what they're, around $40 to $47 million is what they're projecting that they will get. And that will make a very sizable dent in filling some of those gap issues within the deficit that they have. I want to call cap on this. I got to call cap. And what I mean by calling cap is that for them to act like they didn't know how deep the deficit was, I just think it's bullshit. The reason why is because last year during the budget hearings, the board chairman, Reginald Streeter, Esquire, spoke about the financial issues happening at the school district. Dr. Tony Wallington, the superintendent of the Philadelphia School District, he himself talked about the financial strains. There was talks of school closures last summer. I was hearing from members of city council that told me that school closures were coming. So this whole idea that people didn't realize how deep it was, 20 cents was never going to be enough. I don't know how much more money had to be revealed to them, but 20 cents was never going to be a decent amount of money. I just personally think that the Parker administration looked in the mirror and went, okay, people are going to hate us for a tax. If we're going to be hated for a tax, let's actually make it a tax that's going to actually get us what we want, rather than tax people just for the hell of it, right? Because I think their initial, because remember what I said on this podcast, a lot of y'all remember this. Like, one of my good friends, Karan, knows this, right? He said they must have been listening to the podcast. No shit, Sherlock, because you shit. They clearly were listening, because I said that I thought that the amount was too low. And whether not, hell, I knew what listen, they said that the school district is in a $300 million deficit. That's exactly what they were saying at the hearing last year. I don't understand what the number was. Like, it was always a big fat number. Like, they didn't just get into this debt in the past year. Like, this number was always substantial. I don't know why they're acting like this was, like, not serious. Like, that's just such a lie. Like, I think what it is that at the end of the day, we're taxing people for $9 million initially. That's dumb. Why would you tax people? Why would you that's such a frivolous ass tax. Like, you're going to tax me for $9 million? Why? You could easily go in the budget and get $9 million. You could easily take some of the batons out. Reduce some of them damn the police budget. Take some of them donuts off the budget. Like, there are ways that you could have gotten that money down. Call some developers. Call a philanthropist. Get somebody to donate some shit. Call Alan Dom. Like, there's so many people and so many things you could do. You want to end the abatement? Oh, no, you don't want to do that? Okay, fine. Okay, maybe I'm a little extreme. Maybe y'all don't want to end the tax abatement. Fine. But damn it, there's money. There's money. There's ways you could have got that damn $9 million. You mean to tell me with billionaires in Philadelphia and all these corporations that y'all talk to, y'all couldn't rub some nickels together and get $9 million for the school district? Preposterous. What kind of you mean to tell me you couldn't talk to none of these big people, Josh Harrison, them, and say, yo, can you put $1 million for the schools? Hell, get a tax write-off. Shit. You mean to tell me that y'all don't know 9 billionaires that could give $1 million a piece? Give them a fucking award. Give them the key to the city for that $9 million. That's why I said the number was too low. That was stupid. Now, $47 million? Okay. Now, some of these billionaire folks, now they'd be like, well, $40 million. Now, I don't know about, I ain't got that. I get that. $9 million they got. They got $9 million. I mean, I just saw that the United Negro College Fund had a fundraiser, the Mass Ball Gala. They raised over $1 million in that night. Y'all could have had a big old gala and did about, 9 of those and asked somebody to cut another check and could have threw some galas and raised that money for the schools. Y'all could have did that. Put one of y'all friends on the host committee and throw some goddamn galas and raise some money for these damn schools. Call up a celebrity. Call up Questlove and do a college fundraiser jam. You know, call up Jay-Z. Make Jay-Z do that charity event. Turn the Roots Picnic into a fucking fundraiser for the school district. I mean, come on. Oh, that's right. Jay-Z don't care about public schools. He was trying to get them damn vouchers, right? Remember them vouchers he was trying to do with Jeffrey Yasmin? Oh, remember that? Remember that whole charter school thing with Rockneck? Did we forget that? Oh, okay, never mind. Maybe, yeah. We're not going to talk about that? Oh, okay. Because I didn't forget that. I didn't forget that. I didn't forget the whole voucher shit that was being pushed by Jay-Z and them in Philadelphia Public School. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, y'all must have forgot. Okay, sure. But anyways, like I said before, that the money was there. The money's been there. There was ways to get that $9 million. So I think the mayor probably has some common sense. Maybe listen to this episode of Ernestly Speaking, not this one, but the previous episode, when I said that if you're going to tax people, go for an amount that's going to get a real amount of money. Because if they would have kept it at that 20 cents, then we would have been screwed. Like, that would have been, then there would have been more money to be raised. So get what you need to get, right? However, you might be saying to yourself, well, then how do you really feel about this, Ernest? No, I don't support this. Let me be very clear. This is trash. I'm just saying strategically, if you're going to support it, if you're going to tax. Like, give a real tax. Like, make people feel it. However, in this regard, we don't need to feel it because we don't have to pay for it because there is still money that can be found. The reason why we are feeling this, and this is what I've been trying to say for the longest, is that, remember last year when, council member at large Isaiah Thomas, which, let's get to him real quick. He was in his feelings, y'all, this week. Y'all saw what was going on Instagram. Y'all saw the back and forth me and him had. Let me just let y'all know for the record, me and him took our conversation offline, had a real grown man conversation, came to an understanding, and, we're back on track. But one thing that I need people to understand, and I made clear, is that you don't get in my comments when you have my cell phone, you got my number, and take a post I'm making personally and make it about you and go, wow. Because if you go, because that's the thing that they like to do. Dudes always like to do the wow. What are you wowing about? That's the thing. Wow. You just go, wow. Yeah, that's how I imagine that. Like that wow thing. It's like, what is the wow? That's so passive aggressive. And I don't really like passive aggression. Like, if you're going to do, what you going to do, what you saying, right? So he said to me that my post was wrong and I knew it was wrong. I said, well, what am I wrong about? Like, what am I wrong about? What is wrong about my post? Like, don't just sit up here and say my post is wrong and I know I'm wrong. What are you in your feelings about? Long story short, I think he was in his feelings. Well, do I think or do I know? I'll just say this. I think he was in his feelings, even though I know he was in his feelings, about the fact that basically I said the Working Families Party was the only ones who have been consistently resisting against the budget and scrutinizing the budget and have stood 10 toes down on that situation. He's in his feelings because he did speak out and criticize the budget last year, specifically the home initiative. My only problem with that was, at the end of the day, you voted for it, right? Kendra voted against it. Nicholas was not there, but Nicholas and Kendra put out a joint statement where they both basically said that this budget was not it. They also provided a working families budget. They provided an alternative budget that they thought would benefit working families. They had an alternative to how they wanted to support and better use the money. They thought that budget was a disgrace and it was not a reflection of their values. So they voted against it. Nicholas O'Rourke was absent, so he couldn't vote. But he also publicly said he didn't support the budget because he was on maternity leave. His wife had a baby. So Kendra, who was the sole member of the Working Families Party that could vote against it. Nicholas would have voted against it as well. The issue is that Isaiah was mad because he feels like he should get some fucking credit for being against the budget. Well, if you voted for it, then why? So I had a source tell me, this is hot tea because I want to keep it 1,000, okay? Is that this landlord tenants bill, sources tell me as city council that he does not support the landlord tenants bill. Like, he personally does not like it. He does not like this bill that is supposed to be improving conditions for tenants because of how he feels about the way they're attacking it. He voted in favor of it. He supported it, right? You know that the bill is not happening right now because of the issue pertaining to the Sunshine Act. However, behind the scenes, he does not like it. He does not support that bill in private, is what my sources told me. He's been saying that he thinks that this legislation that was very popular among city council, and he was going to vote for it, that he said in hearings before it got taken out the conversation, he said in those rooms that it's going to be a problem for future landlords, small landlords. He's concerned about landlords who own like one unit or whatever. He feels like they're going to be paying the price and suffering from this, and that the big landlord groups are going to be able to afford and to deal with whatever those challenges will be, and that he personally thinks that this is going to impact generational wealth in Black communities. That is his actual opinion about it, allegedly. Not allegedly, this is what it is. But allegedly, that is what, I have to say allegedly because he has not sat down on record. When asked by Council President Kenyatta Johnson in this meeting, that again was not public, Kenyatta was like, well, where's your vote on it? He says he's going to vote for it. People were like, okay, why? He says the politics is what he said. The politics, allegedly what he said. So, in other words, you're a politician. You don't actually support that legislation, but the politics, I guess, the optics of it, you're going to do it. So that just personally, and this is my critique, and I've told Isaiah this, no one knows where you stand on shit. Because what you say and what you do are two different things. I need him to grow a spine. I need him to You're the highest vote getter in city council. This 4 years should be your bully pulpit. You have the majority of the votes out of any other city council member. You have the votes. You're clearly arguably the most popular, voting-wise, city council member at large. People have been talking you up to run for mayor. You've been in those conversations. Let me tell you something. You're too busy trying to straddle the fence too much, for my taste. You say all the right things and then do all the wrong things. You say all the right things, but then you do all the wrong things. You don't want to buck against the grain because you're always playing politics trying to get a fucking hit. You are a politician to the core. You're not a legislator. You're a politician. There's a difference between a legislator and a politician. Politicians politic for their own self-interest, and they frame it as it being for the better good. Legislators create legislation for the people. There are some legislators who are politicians, and there are some politicians that are not legislators. Figure out who the people you support, who they are and what they are. I will tell you that in city council, there are not that many legislators. A lot of people in city council are politicians. And I think what has been disappointing about Isaiah is that while I do admire certain aspects of his placement in city council, I have been very disgusted by how much politics that he play. He acts like he don't, but he do. That man literally is the majority whip for city council. He plays politics up and down for his own personal interest. He thinks it's cute. He thinks he's on the show of power. He likes to act like he's working his set to try to get things, and he thinks that he's some Robin Hood, that he's robbing he's robbing from the rich to pay the poor or whatever. It's not working. It's not working. Because at the end of the day, you are doing things that are for your own interest, and you admit that, and you are not going to be able to get the respect and praise that you think you deserve. You're not. I think what he struggles with is that he can't live with the reality that he's not the people's champ, that a lot of people actually don't like him, that a lot of people don't actually like, and let me clarify that because I don't want to make it feel like it's personal. What I mean by like him is that the types of adoration that Isaiah wants, he wants to be able to have that street cred and that likability amongst people. I think he's jealous or slightly envious of the type of community respect that Kendra and Nicholas has, specifically them. I think even with Gautier a little bit, he won't admit this out loud, but I think he doesn't like the fact that Isaiah ran as a candidate for the people when he first ran. Like his whole entire apparatus. A lot of people who are elected right now, I think, are the type of people that would have not had a visibility had it not been for some of the type of politicking that Isaiah did. Isaiah was ahead of his time when he first ran for office over a decade ago, when he first ran for city council. And at that time, there was no real Working Families Party insurgency. There was none of these progressive movements. He was a real progressive. He had some real ideas when he first ran. But after losing 2 times in a row, you have to sometimes take a Faustian deal. You have to sign a deal with the devil. I ain't gonna call them the devil, but he's had to sign up with groups of people in order to get him in office that were not necessarily people that the community were in favor with. And so in selling himself out for that good for himself, he made compromise that he arguably would say is good for the people. He thinks he has to get dirty. Sure, okay, do whatever you think makes sense, but you will not get the community champion respect. That right now is being held by the likes of people like Kendra Brooks, like Nicholas O'Rourke. They got the lion's share of that. Then there are people like Rue and Jamie Gautier that also get some of that. He's not getting that. And I think it kills him. I think it kills him that people look at him as a relic of the establishment. He is now a relic of the Democratic establishment. He is now the teacher's pet for Council President Kenyatta Johnson, who, I have so many critiques for Kenyatta Johnson, but one thing I will say about him is that man knows that he is the establishment, and he revels in it, and he benefits from it, okay? Anytime you can be indicted and turn around and be the council president right after that indictment and that case gets, dropped and everything, anytime you can bounce back like that and they will put you right in a seat like that, you don't get a seat like that without making compromises. Look who he aligns himself with. He is who he is, and he knows he is who he is. I think that Isaiah struggles with his identity crisis. I think he wants to be a Kenyatta Johnson type to have that kind of power. He's obsessed with that kind of flex. But at the same time, he wants to also have the type of desirability and sway and community champion adulation that Kendra Brooks has. You have to be okay with being unpopular. I think he struggles with that. And I think that is one of his biggest Achilles heel. And that is why when we had that conversation offline, I had to let it be known, like, dude, you got to stand for something. And people got to know where you stand. And you got to not only just stand for something, you got to vote for what you stand for. If he didn't agree with that budget, then don't vote for it. But he got benefits from it. He benefited. His vote did cost. How much did his vote cost? He won't tell y'all. But if you look at that staffing budget, you look at his budget, his staff and his team, they keep them coins coming, okay? He can pay his staff and keep his staff. That's why some of his staff has stayed with him as long as they have, because he keeps that money coming into his respective office and his administration. Other people in city council can't say the same. I really want to say more, but I'm not. It's not just follow that. Follow that saga. But nonetheless, even with this tax, I told him, you're going to vote for that tax. You ain't going to vote against that tax. You're going to vote for that tax. You're going to fall in line. Okay? Now, let me tell you what tax he's not going to support, because I feel like everybody's aligned with that. He's not going to support the hotel tax, because there's 3 taxes. There's the Amazon tax, the hotel tax. Well, it's not called the Amazon tax, but I'm calling that. It's the hotel tax, the Amazon tax, and of course the Uber tax, right? The Uber Lyft tax. The Uber Lyft tax is the one that the city council has the most influence on. The hotel tax hike from 15% to 17%, that over 2% tax hike, that's going to be something that city council will initially support in the budget, but the mayor has to have the authority to then take it to the state. Also, the delivery tax, right? That delivery tax also has to be taken to the state. There is a problem. And that problem and that resistance is Governor Josh Shapiro, who's running for re-election. Governor Josh Shapiro wants to lower taxes. He does not want to increase taxes. He understands that is what Republicans like, but that's what everyday people like. We don't want any more goddamn taxes. Governor Shapiro came to West Philadelphia this past week, where he talked about how he is coming up with solutions for community, and he is not in favor of taxes. Listen, when he's right, he's right. I can acknowledge when that man is right. I don't want taxes either. I think that is smart policy. See, that's what it looks like, y'all. It looks like coming to the table and being able to acknowledge the person is right. He's right on this. That tax, we don't need to be increasing taxes. And so reporters had asked him at the press conference that he was at, where he was there. They asked him, they said, what about this Mayor Parker? He said, did you not hear what I said? He made it very clear that, listen, I'm not going to be supporting anything about increasing taxes. I'm not doing it. So even though that's why low key, she's not really been talking a lot about the hotel tax. She's not really been talking about that delivery tax. You notice that she's been really talking the most about the Uber ride share tax. And she's been talking a lot about that because she wants to talk about the school board. Not the school board, it's the school district. She wants to fill that because that's the one she's going to push city council to. I don't think all these taxes are going to get. I have a sense that all these taxes are not going to hit. I think Shapiro is going to block that delivery tax. I think that's not going to go through. I think that he's also going to block the hotel tax, because the hotel, the parks and recreational folks, not recreational folks, the hospitality group and community and Unite Here, all of them are concerned about these unions are not in favor of this hotel tax. Visit Philadelphia is not in favor of this hotel tax. Nobody is rocking with that hotel tax. Okay, so I don't think that's going to be successful, even though she's claiming that is going to help with homelessness. She claims the delivery tax is going to help with SEPTA and public transportation. On the record with Ernest on 96.1 FM, 900 AM, Progressive Black Talk Media. You got to listen to this episode with Jay Young, okay? I got him on record to really stand up and tell us what his positions are. He says as of right now, he does not support the Uber Lyft tax as of right now. He has already said he absolutely does not support the hotel tax, and he says that he's open to understanding delivery tax better because he does feel like these delivery companies, the Amazons and all these folks that do delivery. He says, and that tax, by the way, is 25 cents, which I can live with a 25 cents tax. I can live with that 25 cents tax. But that $1, as of right now, not feeling it. These taxes are not popular. What a bad time, right? During a midterm election, that this governor, you're trying to force this governor's hand to support taxes right now. The Park administration claims that the rescue has not come soon enough, that they need responses now, and that Shapiro's, what he's proposing and what he's suggesting is not helping Philadelphians right now, and that she feels like her hands are tied up. This is a nasty fight between city and state, and we're going to be monitoring this. We're going to be monitoring this very closely. Stay woke and pay close attention to what is happening right now, because I think that now the knives are out, and we're only going to see more hospitality. The Uber lobbyists are right now already have descended into city council. They've been out here pushing out facts and literature. They're trying to persuade people. Listen, I am not paid by Uber. Uber has not paid me shit. I am not an influencer in that regard. I'm not doing any of that. I'm just telling you as a taxpayer and as somebody, I don't want the shit. Go find that money elsewhere. Hell, maybe I should just ask Uber to donate to this cause. Maybe Uber should just give $4 million, cut them $4 million check and donate to this cause. Maybe that's how they should just do it. Because, maybe that's what they should do. Okay? Maybe you should just call these people and ask them, like Amazon or whatever, cut a check. When it was 20 cents, y'all could have maybe got $9 million from Uber for y'all to sit down. Maybe able to split it with Lyft, maybe. What are we doing? So, just want to put that out there. And fun fact, Lyft did not donate to I think Amazon and Lyft did not donate to the Parker campaign. And people think that might be part of her petty reason why she wants to make them pay. Interesting. But back on to some other things that's been happening in this front. Resign to Run is here, right? Good news. And this is also why I think Isaiah had a little grumpy mood with me the day he did. That was last Thursday, right? Reason why I think he had a grumpy mood with me is because he decided to pull his Resign to Run bill. Yes, that Resign to Run bill that he had, the controversial one that we was debating about on my show, he has pulled it. He is requesting it to be pulled. Even though the mayor has already signed it, it's already been up. He wants to now pull it because he does not think that this is going to be popular. I've heard from close sources that people within the Democratic establishment were not feeling this. Okay, there were some other people that were not feeling it. Don't think for 5 seconds this man had a change of heart. Y'all think I'm stupid. Y'all think I'm dumb. You think this man woke up and said, this is not good. No, there were some people that made some phone calls from the establishment that are not feeling this. And so because of that pressure, in addition to committee of 70 other people, he had to pull it. Yeah. Don't believe the script, okay? Because here's the thing. It was never a right time for that legislation to come up. This was not the year. He knew that then, but he kept trying to pursue it. So I don't know. Maybe he read the room. Maybe it was Maybelline. I don't know. But all I know is that now we don't have nothing to worry about. Jay Young was the only person that voted against it. Shout out to Jay Young, the only Democrat who voted against it. He made it very clear. He said it. He said it best. He said that until there are term limits, he will not support this. I got to give it to him. He has some very interesting politics. But that is what we need. We need someone who has the appearance of not feeling like that we can predict their moves. He is one of the most unpredictable members of city council. And I like that. I do. I don't think we should know. I mean, I think that if you're not going to be progressive in the ways in which aligns with my politics, can you at least be unpredictable on the other side? Can you at least be somebody that, you know what, depending on where the wind blows, you might go. I think he's a pragmatic progressive. He didn't say that on my show, but I am a pragmatic progressive. If it makes sense, it makes sense. If it makes sense, I will be with it. But I do think that there are certain Democrats in city council that do not have a backbone. Like Isaiah Thomas, maybe I should stop wrangling him, okay? But there's others, right? But I don't find them to be like, another one I would say, Curtis Jones Jr. That guy, he will ask some good questions at council and he will push back. But that man, when he votes, I'm like, what? Like he thinks that this tax for schools is a good idea. I would believe him more if his wife was not in a senior position. His wife is a city representative. I think that a lot of the things that he support is because his wife works for the administration, and both his household, they benefit from the Park administration. So he's not going to push back at the Park administration. I mean, have y'all noticed that? Him and Anthony Phillips, and I know Anthony Phillips very well, very, very well. But like, there are some people where you just know they're going to vote for Cherelle no matter what. And Anthony Phillips is not going to vote against Cherelle Parker. Curtis Jones is not, right? Those are just two votes that I know guaranteed they're not going to vote against her. Isaiah, I used to think that he was a wild card. He's not. He's just going to argue. He's going to take it to the press, but legislative-wise, he's going to fall in line. Kathy is going to fall in line. Kenyatta, he's going to fall in line, right? But Sydney could be a wild card. Sydney could be a wild card, but not really. But she has her moments, right? She's publicly said she's not in favor of this bill, this tax on Uber. But at the same time, she's in leadership. She'll fall in line. If they scare her enough, if she needs to, she'll do it. That's my take. Now, out of city council, state budget. Let's get into the state. State got a lot going on right now. Which is why I think that Shapiro is also kind of not trying to raise taxes, right? Appropriations Committee Chair, State Representative Jordan Harris, introduced Shapiro's budget. He introduced it last week. It is a $53.3 billion wish list that clearly Republicans are going to want to pull apart. One of the big things that have passed, which the State House have passed this bill, that they want to increase the state's minimum wage from $7.25 an hour to $11 an hour starting on January 1st, 2027. Then they plan to increase that to $13 an hour in 2028 and then $15 an hour in 2029 to adjust for the annual cost of living adjustments. I'm a little disappointed by that. I mean, listen, it is an increase, and maybe I shouldn't be upset, but God damn it, man, can we start at $15? I feel like $15 an hour was what we was talking about, 10 years ago? I feel like $15 an hour is like, so you mean to tell me it's going to take us nearly 20 years? Nah, nearly 15 years to get to $15 an hour. When that's what we asked for. $15 an hour was a progressive move then. Really, people should be at $20 an hour. But I ain't gonna go there. They're not ready for that. So to get to $15 an hour, we I guess baby steps. But it just pains me, y'all. I mean, but from 7 to 11, 7-11, to get from $7 to $11 minimum wage is to get to the double digits. We'll take it. Because I guess if they would have been arguing for, $15, that would be double in a year. But I mean, to double the minimum wage from now until 2029, I'm not against that. I guess I'll take it. I just feel like this is just so long overdue that it doesn't even feel that ceremonious. But for people who are living minimum wage, this is going to make a big difference. And so we'll take it. We'll take it. Even though it's just kind of like, damn, why are we so behind Pennsylvania? Come on, get with it. But yeah, I mean, there are some victories that need to be named also. A big moment that I think a lot of people are talking about right now is that the Pennsylvania Supreme Court did their big one recently. They struck down mandatory life sentences for felony murder convictions. It's a big win. There was a constitutional flaw. And I think taking down mandatory life sentences is a big deal, right? So there's some progress. We are seeing some things. That is a milestone, you know. Um, yeah. So that's a win. I think the other thing that's happening in the state, which brings us all full circle, is that there is a state rep race that has gotten very interesting. And that race is Chris Johnson. He is running, he's running right now to fill the seat for Chris Rabb. Chris Rabb is not running for re-election as state rep. So if Chris Rabb does not win this upcoming congressional race, he's done at the end of this year. But regardless, there's going to be a new state rep filling his seat in Northwest, and that is Chris Johnson. You've seen his name around. He is a very smart guy, Penn grad. He's worked in the political space, young man in his early 30s, and looks good, tall, dark, handsome. Got all the check boxes going for him. Is from Philadelphia, has some great familiar ties. His brother is an alpha, shameless plug, who is a minister, who, by the way, his brother, who's a wife, has a wife. His brother's named Corey Johnson, who is a minister. His wife is one of Pastor Waller's daughters at Enon. So there is that Northwest connection there. Interesting. By the way, Chris Johnson is single. He's not married. He's also on the market. Apparently, he's single. That's what the streets are saying. So, any of you, ladies who are looking for an eligible bachelor, you're looking for somebody, maybe after the election, shoot your shot. But he's out here and he's running. Interesting thing about his endorsements, though, he was endorsed by the Working Families Party, the Democratic Party, and he got a specific endorsement by Mayor Cherelle Parker. Now, this is petty as fuck. Why is this petty? It's because for those who've been following this saga with Chris Rabb, Cherelle Parker has been for the longest wanting someone to take Chris Rabb out that seat. She despises him. She's ran people, mentees of hers, for years to go against him, and they cannot defeat him. So for her to be endorsing his replacement, for the Democratic Party to be endorsing him, I think that they look at him as a consensus guy. This is one of the few rare occasions where Working Families Party, the Philadelphia Democratic City Committee, and Cherelle Parker, a Venn diagram is all on Chris Johnson. Like, this is the one thing they agree on. As a whole collective, all three of them can unify behind him. So, let's talk about other Venn diagrams, right? Where the Democratic Party, right, and Cherelle Parker, right, they can agree on somebody, but Working Families Party don't agree on it, right? This is the candidate that everybody seems to be for. Everybody seems to want Chris Johnson for this seat. He's going to get this seat. I predict he's going to win this election. I don't know who else is in the race. I haven't really paid attention until recently, but he seems to be the front runner to take that seat. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how he establishes his identity once he gets in the seat, though. Because when you got everybody liking you, you know what they say, a friend to everybody may not be a friend to anyone, but we'll see. We'll see. And then before I move on, there's been a lot going on right now with this congressional race. Dark money has entered the race. Super PAC money from 314, this group that says they're supporting, I guess, scientists or people in the science field, medical field run for office. Well, there was talks of AIPAC's relationship with this group. Let me set the record straight about this 314 group. This is the group that is the super PAC that is giving money to Dr. Ayla Stanford's race. Over $1 million. That's why she's got TV ads right now. And she's got social media ads and things like that. Let me tell you about this real quick to clarify some things. I did my research. So AIPAC and 314 did have alignment together with a particular candidate many years ago. However, a recent race that took place in Illinois, 314 gave money to back that candidate. AIPAC did not support that candidate. There was a difference. So it is fair to say that, yes, AIPAC and 314 did align forces to support a candidate in the past. However, there has been races as recent as this election cycle where they went against each other in supporting and giving money. So it is not necessarily fair to assume that that money was going to go there. Yeah. But I also want to be clear, I'm not in the business of defending Dr. Stanford getting the super PAC money. I'm not really a fan of super PAC money in elections, to be quite honest. I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of dark money. I'm not a fan of any of this shit. And I think that what's annoying is that there have been people connected to her campaign, but they want to get out in front of this and talk to people and clarify this to public. But here's the issue. If you didn't get involved in dark money, you wouldn't even have these issues. Like, you wouldn't have a problem if you actually didn't accept a ton of money. But when you're desperate to try to win a race, you start taking money like this, people start to question, especially when you're not a politician. Like, Dr. Stanford has never been in elected office before. This is her first time getting in the political space, in the arena. That's fine. Do your thing. But the issue is that when you decide to get into these types of spaces, then conversations about integrity and all those things come into part. And that's a fair critique, right? Like, we do have a right to question, what does that mean when you accept that money? What does that mean about your politics? What does that mean about your policy? Especially when we don't know what it means. And I said this about Anthony Hardy Williams. Like, a lot of people will say, look, he gets charter money, he gets Jeffrey Yass money, all that other stuff, right? And people will make the argument that getting that money will persuade the way that he votes for things and whatnot, right? But arguably, if you actually look at his voting record, okay, if you actually look at, Anthony Hardy Williams' voting record, he does not vote against public education. His votes are typically in alignment with his colleagues on public education. So he does accept that money, right? And people can critique that all they want. That's fine. I get it. But to make the assumption that the way that he vote, that money influences the way that his voting record was on those issues, it's just not true. And I think that that's the same thing that we can say about him, because he has a legislative record. But when you are a new elected official, a new candidate, because she's not even elected, right? She's not elected at this time. She's hoping to be. We don't really know your legislative record, so we don't really know where your allegiances lie. When Jamie Gautier ran for city council the first time, and she got that money from Philly 3.0, and everybody was like wondering what that was going to mean for her legislation, she bucked against them. She got that money, and then they didn't like her anymore because she wasn't supporting legislation that they would be aligned with. Derek Green, on the other hand, got Philly 3.0 money. And the way that Derek Green voted and the stuff he supported was more in alignment with Philly 3.0 than Gautier. But you got to prove yourself. And I think that because we don't really know how Dr. Ayla Stanford would vote on issues, because she doesn't have a legislative record, it is concerning when dark money enters a race like that, super PAC money enters her race. Because you have to try to figure out, what does this mean for her policies and where does she stand? And so, my mindset is don't take the money, but she thinks that she needs it to win. And here's the thing. If she loses this race, let this be another reminder that big money in a race don't necessarily mean anything. I think about Jared Solomon. He ran for Attorney General. He ran for AG, right? For Pennsylvania. Jared Solomon got a lot of money. He's a state rep, right? But guess what? That did not translate into him winning. He did not do that well. He did not do that well in the polls. He did not do that well. He was not the runner-up to Eugene DePasquale in that primary. He was not close. So another reminder that sometimes you can run a certain type of race. Money does not necessarily guarantee. But we'll find out, right? And then wrapping this up, though, with these races, Morgan Cephas has dropped out the race. This race had like 9 candidates. Now it's down to roughly 8. But she dropped out, she's out. But, she's a great state rep. And I think, in my opinion, I always knew it was only a matter of time before she would eventually have to drop out the race. I didn't think she was going to drop out this late because, once you file petitions and you're on the ballot and all the things, it's almost like, what's going on? But I think that was a mature decision. I think to just try to drag on for the next couple of weeks and, continue to do these forums and just continue to see the conversation. I mean, we're in really a 2-person race, but I think that it's fair to say 3. We have the big 3. Okay. The big 3, in my opinion, the 3 candidates that's putting up the fight is Chris Rabb, who was a state rep, Dr. Ayla Stanford, and State Senator Sharif Street. I think that it is between those three. Anything can happen between now and May 19th, but it's between those three. Those are the three. It is going to be one of those three. I don't see anyone else at all. You know, there was a 5 and there was a final 4. Now there's the big 3. Okay? It was 5. It was Dr. Dave Oxman, Morgan Cephas, Street, Rab, Stanford. Now we're down to Stanford, Street, and Rab. It's the final. It's the final ones. It's the big 3. That's it. And at this point, we'll see what happens. I wonder if she's going to endorse anyone. You know, I wonder if she's going to endorse anyone. I mean, I think that given how intense the campaign has gotten, I think she doesn't really like anyone enough to endorse. Like, I don't think she'll endorse Dr. Stanford. I think that would just be politically shaky for her. I think she's not going to endorse State Senator Sharif Street because they've had some really strong clashing. Like, it's been really nasty against them in some of the debates. And yeah, I think she's not going to endorse him. I don't think she's going to endorse Rab. I think they're just so politically on the opposite ends of each other that she's not going to do that just for her own sanity. I think if she was to endorse anyone in this race, it would make sense for her to endorse Shreve Street, but she doesn't like him right now. I don't think their relationship is really good right now, so I don't think she's going to endorse him. So I think she just might just respectfully bow out and just stay out the race altogether, which is a smart move for her. I think that's a smarter move for her, actually. Yeah, I don't know, unless there's some deal made on the side, but I don't see her endorsing anyone. I think that's smart. I think that's smart for her, to be honest. Yeah. So now this week's Ask Ernest, you all had questions, but this question comes from a lit brother. He wanted me to ask this. He had it. This is messy. I am not going to name, well, see, I have to name the lit brother because then this gonna get even messier. So it's Jamarcus, but he wanted me to share this situation, and he wanted me to answer it on the show. So I'm doing his wishes. Okay. So for several, I guess, years, he has had a situationship with a guy who lives in Houston. They are not in a relationship, like they're not together dating, but they have been frequently hooking up, very close. This has been going on for some years. I think they were previously in a relationship, but once he moved to Houston permanently, they transitioned to having this rendezvous. Recently, they saw on social media that this person that they've had this rendezvous with for a couple of years is married. And the marriage was a high-profile wedding in Houston. The man is black. The man he's married to is black. This couple recently announced. And so if you from Houston and you listen and you got to listen, it is what it is. This man is married now. He's married to this guy he's been with. Now, because I wanted to check in with my friend, I was like, wait a minute, was you out here messing with this man when he's in a relationship? He did not know this man had a relationship. He did not know that this man was involved. Like the times in which they were hooking up, it just seemed like it was very casual. The man is married. The man got married in Vegas. But they ended up having the reception in Houston. It was I think Houston Magazine or some magazine did a coverage on it or covered it. Like it's got in press and it's on social media and it's on timelines. He's asking me how should he feel about this situation. And he wanted me to answer this on my podcast because, maybe other people have gone through something like this before. It's funny because I actually had another friend who had a similar situation like this before, actually. I'm not gonna put her tea out. She would strangle me if I actually told. But she's had a similar situation. But he wanted me to answer this on air. Because he told me this week, and we was sipping tea and we was at a party, so we really couldn't like deep dive into everything. But he wanted this to be an Ask Ernest. Now, I'm gonna say this with love to my friend, but to anybody in these situations. This is why I tell y'all asses, get out these situations. Because sticky situations lead to sticky situations, okay? Situationships, I feel like, need to be abolished in our 30s. I want everybody to hear me very clear. When you are in your 30s, you need to get rid of them. You really should get rid of them after 25, but see, I might be a little too harsh. But when you're in your 30s, you need to get rid of situationships. We all need to get rid of them, okay? Because here's the problem. Feelings are human reactions. They are a part of who we are as humans. We get feelings. We have emotions. We're humans. There is no way that you can consistently sleep with somebody and not feel any type of way about anything, okay? Our body anatomy. If you're making love, and y'all be out here talking about something, y'all fucking. No, y'all making love. I know myself. I knew myself when I was in my early 20s. When I was single, okay, before I met Mr. Johnson, I knew myself. I am an emotional person. When I have sex, I have feelings. I am in love. I am connected. I feel a connection. And I realized that I just could not be out here. I mean, if it was a one and done, it's a one and done. Quickie is a quickie. But if I'm going to consistently sleep with somebody, I'm going to have feelings. Like, I don't know anybody who can do that. Like, I just don't. And so I learned this very early with myself. Like when I was like 19 or whatever, and I was having situationships, and I was like, oh, no feelings, whatever. And I was signing up for shit like that because I was so much wanting to have the feeling with the person that I was faking that I was a robot. And I didn't want to be a robot. And no one should. And so when you get to your 30s and older, there's an emotional maturity level and intelligence level that we have. And it is not a part of our ability to separate our bodies and our loves, especially when we're having sex. Like, I have quality sex. I think quality sex matters. If you somewhere getting bent over and just having a quick one and done, but grown folks, at a certain point, you should be having quality sex. That's another concept for another day. But I'm assuming that when you're in your 30s, you're having quality sex. You're having orgasms. You're having rounds. You're having experiences that give you full fulfillment. You're not leaving empty-handed. You're not one person's not getting off and leaving you dry. Everybody is getting a full throttle experience. That's quality sex. And if you're having quality sex, there's no way you can have quality sex with a person and not have feelings. So all that bullshit that people are saying about, oh, you can do this. And no. I'm sorry. I'm not going to let somebody. See, that's why I've been off the market for 12 years, because you're not going to be able to have all of me and get all of me and have all of this and not, like, how can anyone make love to me and not catch feelings? That's how I feel. That's why I tell people, don't be out here. That's why I can't, because listen, I can't be in an open relationship. I can't be in a situation. I can't, because making sex with me is amazing. And also just being with me in general, like, there's feelings. You're going to get feelings. I don't want nobody to lose their mind. Okay. That's how you get fatal attraction. Dan. Remember that? No. Glenn Close, you saw how they were cutting up in that film. There was some real feelings. There was passion. And passion attracts feelings. So my friend clearly was having a passionate love affair with this man. And feelings were felt. But at the end of the day, that was not your man. And here's the thing. You should have feelings. You should be disappointed, right? You should be. Absolutely. You should be disappointed, right? Because it is fucked up. Because no one should be played, right? No one should be lied to. No one should be misled. People should have the agency. I agree with all of that. However, I think that the feelings should be an understanding of what were you wanting in that situation regardless? Because here's the reality. Even if that person moved on, even if that person, whatever was doing what they was doing, you never had established a boundary where there was an expectation of something more than just the situationship itself. So hypothetically, right, we don't know that person's relationship with the person they with. I can't say that person was cheating. We don't know, because I've learned not to assume anymore. I used to think everybody who had extra love affairs and things was out here in these streets cheating. Maybe the person they're with, open relationships are real. Not my house. If you catch anybody, listen, baby, no, sir, no, ma'am. Okay, I'm just saying. Listen, let's be very clear. But everybody is different, right? So you can't assume people are cheating when they're not, quote, they may not be cheating. We don't know that relationship, right? Maybe they have an understanding. Maybe they're open. Maybe they are, right? Maybe it's Maybelline, like I said before. We don't know. But here's the thing, okay? I'm being hood. This is not a real word. But irregardless of the situation, when you decide to get in a situationship with somebody, you are signing yourself up to be in something that has no strings attached. And I would beg the question, did y'all have a conversation about relationships? No. You mean all this time y'all was sleeping together, y'all did not have a conversation about what the dynamics were? Did it matter? No. Because at the end of the day, the goal was to get a nut. And if that was the goal, then the goal was fulfilled and the role was done. Because here's the reality. Are you mad that they got with that person, got with somebody, and are you upset because you're single and you're available and you're flexible? And so you're looking at them moving with a relationship and a marriage, and you don't? Because here's the reality. You could have had your situation and it was none of his business. He was not entitled either. You could have had a whole situation if you wanted to. You didn't want to. That's your prerogative. But when you're in a situationship, there's no real terms of agreements because it's kind of loose. No pun intended. But it's kind of loose though, right? And so the lesson of this is several things can be true. Yes, you could be upset that, quite frankly, somebody that you had for a period of time in this type of dynamic is now married and you wish you would have been given a heads up. Fair. But at the same time, with all that being said, does it even really matter? Because does it really matter? Do it. I mean, does it really matter? Because you weren't trying to be anything more. There was no conversations or expectations of anything more than just what it was. So perhaps on that guy's mindset was that, look, I got my other things going on and now I'm ready to be in. And I'm going to have to talk from experience. Before I was in Mr. Johnson, I was in college. I was single for about a year. The people that I was dealing with at the time, not that many people, let's be clear. There were people that were interested in me. I was interested in them in some casual situation. But then when I realized that I wanted to be with the man that I am with now, I kind of put that away. I was like, okay, well, I seem to be really interested in this person. And this person is pursuing me in a way that they want a relationship. Versus these other people were not pursuing me that way. The moment I got in that relationship, all of a sudden everybody wanted to come at me like, oh, well, well, dang, you didn't. No. You don't get to now reappear as something different when you had the opportunity. Because Mr. Johnson could have been floating the same way. Let's be all clear. When we all meet somebody for the first time, everybody's a situation. Everybody is a thing that can be, right? But then you have to choose at what point do you want to move on from being in a situationship to a relationship, but you got to set those terms. And it's always a rat race because, again, when you're in a situationship, no one dictates what the other person do. So just as much as my friend is in a situation where they would have preferred or would have liked to consider another relationship, or could have said, that was not on the table. You didn't initiate it. He didn't initiate it. And so maybe that's just not what it was. But here's the lesson. The lesson is that you are at that age where you are a little bit more emotionally invested than you might want to admit, but that's okay. And it's okay to have feelings, and it's okay to catch feelings, and it's okay. And when you do feel that way, have the conversation. And if the person is not down, you have to also accept the reality that you cannot continue to hook up with them, because then you're going to lie to yourself and deny yourself, and you're going to find yourself in a situation where if the dynamics change, you're going to feel some way. So let's work on harm reduction. And that's my take on that. I hope I answered that, bestie. I hope I did. All right, moving along to movies. Project Hail Mary, I got a chance to see it with Ryan Gosling. I liked it. It's different. It was 2 hours and 2.5 hours. I can understand some people that might feel like it might feel a little boring, but it's a very cool movie. It's based off of this incredible book that I only read a little bit of. I didn't get a chance to read the whole book. But it's called Hail Mary Project. Or I'm sorry, Project Hail Mary. Project Hail Mary. It's by Andy Weir. I'm sorry. Weir. No, sorry, Andy Weir is the author of that book, Project Hail Mary. It's a interesting book. It came out like 5 years ago. And they made a movie out of it, which is even more interesting. This author also wrote the book The Martian, which turned into a film by Ridley Scott. So Andy Weir gets all his books, his sports movie. He's got this dude is dope. Like, he's got 2 books that then turn into movies. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Interesting book. But The Martian, was another movie he did. He's been able to turn some books into some movies, which is really cool. That's like goals, man. I would dream to take one of my books into a documentary or a movie. That'd be dope. But like, wow. So yeah, I enjoyed the movie. It was cool. It was a cool movie to watch. It was different. And I'm really interested in watching original films. I'm really trying to not watch sequels. Says the guy who's super excited to see The Devil Wears Prada 2. Well, that's different. Shut the fuck up. But like, real rap, I am really only interested in seeing original movies like Sinners. I was really excited about Sinners, Like, I don't know. Like, if I'm going to go to the movies, I want to see something that hasn't been out already, I don't know. That's where I'm at. Michael Jackson biopic. I'm excited. I'm getting excited. I'm really getting excited about this. I thought I wasn't, but I am. I'm getting really excited. It comes out April 24th. It's coming out very soon. I'm really excited about it though. Like, it's coming out next month. We're less than a month away from Michael, which, like, it's exciting. I want to see it. I really do. Yeah. A $155 million budget. They weren't playing no games with it. They really weren't. At all. At all. This Tuesday, Brandy's new book, Phases, come out. I've gotten a chance to read it. I read it. You'll say, how do you have so much time, Ernest, to read these books? I begin the galleys early. Okay? This book, I'm not going to tell spoilers. There's been some stuff that's already come out. There's already been some excerpts from the book talking about when she met Whitney. Well, not Whitney. When she met Whitney. When she saw Whitney in her final days. By the way, for those who've been following that, we all knew that Nippy, aka Whitney Houston, gave her a note before she passed. I'm going to let you all know right now, she does not tell us what's in that letter that Whitney gave her before she passed. We will not know. She wants to keep that between herself and the world. That's a little thing she wants to keep to herself, so we will not know what it is. This book is, there's always this narrative that Brandy lies a lot. I don't really think it's fair to call Brandy has told some lies, but I think what I walk away with is that a lot of Brandy's life as a child star was dictated by a level of perfectionism that still haunts her to this day. I'm not going to get into all the details. More stuff will come through time. But I don't want to get off the book because I do want people to read. I think this is a very good book to read. I think that it was difficult at times. She does talk about some of those controversies, the death, the marriage, all the things that has happened in her life. She do talk about family trauma and issues as well. She does not shy away from that. I do appreciate that. I do feel like there's a lot of parts of her that's a little guarded. I think that she likes to put a little red bow on some things in ways that I feel like, yeah, girl, and I do think there is that level. She can't get out of herself with it. That's why I think that people like her and even Beyonce are going to struggle with like writing bios, like because there's always going to be a part of them that's going to be super reserved and also very respectable. And Brandy just cannot shy away from that. But I do think she does open herself up in ways that I thought was very genuine. And I do think was more than I thought she would. And I do feel a better sense of understanding her personality a lot more because there's been times throughout her career where I'm just like, why are you like this? Like, why did you, but I do understand this is somebody who is one of the few singers we have of our generation that was trained by the greats, that had exposure to legends. I mean, you're talking Aretha and others. She's been in those spaces. She has been crowned and knighted and ordained by some of the greatest singers ever. And so there's a level of maturity, pressure, and expectation that was put on Brandy that many women in music will not be able to say they had the same. I mean, there are things that she's done and achieved and opportunities that she's achieved from that even Beyonce has not gotten, based on just the way the industry was shaped, and the ways that she had to navigate this as a solo girl, as a dark-skinned girl. I mean, she talks a lot about that too. And I really love that in this book. So you get a profound respect. You're reminded of why Brandy is the vocal Bible, but why Brandy is that girl. Like why she, like even in spite of her recent drama, right? You're reminded of like how big of a fucking deal she was and is, and how she literally laid the blueprint for so many girls, including Beyonce and others in this industry, and how so many records that she's done that people still have not done. As a Black artist, as an artist in pop music, like she is oftentimes, sometimes forgotten or underestimated a lot because of the later moves she made in her career, but man. Yeah. That Jay-Z interview, let's talk about it. He did an interview with JQ, 30 years of Jay-Z, they're framing it. The 30th anniversary of Reasonable Doubt, which was his breakthrough album that came out in 1996. I was 4, I think, when the album came out, around 4 or 5 years old when the album came out. So yeah, I wasn't, experiencing him in the ways that other folks have. I'm going to be real with y'all. The older I get, the more and more I just am not a fan of Jay-Z. I can respect Jay-Z's artistry as a rapper, but I don't really like Jay-Z. I don't. I find him to be very shallow, very vapid. He's just a gross capitalist. And there are some redeeming qualities, right? I do admire his pursuit to be a father. I do think that Jay-Z as a dad, I do like the joy that he exhibits around his daughters and around his son. I think him being a dad is admirable. I will say that. I don't think Jay-Z is a bad father. I get a sense that Jay-Z is a very active father that really wants to be in his children's life. And I think from the interview, I admire the joy of that. I can appreciate the level of investment and attention he gives to his wife's craft and how he appreciates Beyonce in ways that he speaks of her, how he acknowledges her attention to detail and how thoughtful he is and how even more creative she is compared to him. And I think he admires that and recognizes that. And I can appreciate that attention and to detail. That there for so long, people have always kind of commodified Beyonce to him as like, oh, she's with the greatest rapper and they're just a power couple. But I really do appreciate how Jay-Z acknowledges Beyonce's talent and also her savviness, and he admires how she compliments him and their Black capitalist freedom. Like I guess that is admirable that he can acknowledge his wife in that way. Not too many husbands in this industry can appreciate all of the dimensions of their spouse. And so that I will give him credit for and acknowledge that was nice. But outside of that, oh my God, there is so much density, so much shallowness, so much ignorance. And I don't even know why this whole narrative of like, oh, I want to go out to dinner with Jay-Z, I want a meal with Jay-Z talk. I'm just like, really? Like, is that a real thing or not? Like, I don't know. I just wasn't, I wasn't feeling that as much. A lot of people really have tried to frame him as this wise person. I don't find him that wise. I think he's a little overrated. I think Jay-Z is overrated. I think that there's aspects of him that I think people just put him on this grand scale. Look, he's an investor. He made some good money. I guess people admire, ooh, Jay got money. Okay, yes. But at a certain point when you're a billionaire, it becomes less impressive about how much money you make, but what you're actually doing for said communities. And has throughout his entire career, has not been the most humanitarian-esque guy. Like, there's so much slack and heat for Oprah, right? But Oprah has done way more humanitarian work and investment, whether you like her or not, but you can't deny that she has made some humanitarian efforts in ways that are just more far-reaching and more thought-provoking and more in-depth for society than what Jay-Z has done. I think we're just so stuck on these very basic level conversations about money and wealth. And it's just like, read the fucking room. Read the room. Like, this is a man who tried to push out tech schools and teach people how to do tech. And then we found out that was a huge ripoff and grift for a lot of people coming from those neighborhoods. This is a man who's trying to push, charter school vouchers or vouchers in general in public education, like in, neighborhoods, like in communities like Philadelphia. Like, this is a guy who put a stadium in Brooklyn, was the poster child for it, and then it ruined that entire neighborhood. Like, he is just, the betrayal of NFL, like what he did to the movement that Kaepernick was doing, to say we're done kneeling, as if he was doing something. And what has the NFL done? What have they really done outside of make him some money and allow him an opportunity to promote his artists and promote people, his big friends, right? This is not the kind of change that anybody was asking for, desiring. So much of what he do is rooted in that type of quote unquote change. I just think I've grown out of that. I think my emotional, intellectual intelligence desires something more than just that. It's not impressive to me. Not at that level, because you could do so much more. You could do so much more. But the desire to hold on to that much wealth and to try to emulate aristocrats is just, it's not it to me. It's not. I think so many people that defend him are just stands. I think so many people that defend him are people who think that one day they're going to be him. You're not. Research shows that most people will not end up being like Jay-Z or accumulate the wealth of Jay-Z. It's a very, very rare chance. And so many people are thinking that defending him, his foolery, his fuckery is in many ways protecting their actual dreams to be him. The question becomes why? Why do you want to be him? Why do you aspire to that wealth? What do you think about that wealth? How did he get that wealth? And I think he's so busy, he wants to frame things as I'm a black man with it. I'm a this with it. Like, identity politics aside, you have actually had money, and it's not just about being a business owner, entrepreneur. I think he wants to make the critique that we're just critiquing billionaires simply because they just want to make money. No, because to make that much money, there has had to be an exploitation of labor. There's had to be some level of adverse harm on communities or the environment, or better yet, policies and politics. Like, there's no way that you can be a full-fledged humanitarian and be a billionaire unless you're just giving out your wealth. Like McKinsey, Bezos' ex-wife, she's out here doing the work, right? Her philanthropy, which, mind you, does not deserve to get all of this praise because, we shouldn't be, give that money back to the people. But no, I mean, at the end of the day, if you're going to do it like she's doing it, I just feel like it's so much excuses for this mediocrity. And that's why the interview, I mean, people want to talk about the person who interviewed him. Hey, the guy is a senior editor at GQ. He's 35 years old. Is it the interview that I was waiting for? No, but it's not the worst interview known to man. But I also do think that he's doing an interview with GQ. He's doing an interview with a music artist. I mean, not music artist, music writer. I mean, there's a certain type of mindset that they have about hip hop in ways that I don't. I would be asking different questions, but also it's just also my frame of reference of what the interview was and what the focus was. And I think so many people nowadays want an interview to have everything, every multitude. I don't think so. I just think that, I don't know, I just would have preferred some more pushback on some of the stuff that Jay-Z was saying, because Jay-Z is more than a music artist. And I think so often the conversation is fixated on Jay-Z as a rapper and a musician rather than who he is as a political policy force. Like, to just simply treat him like a rapper and a musician at this point is missing the plot. This man's influence is carrying beyond that. And if we don't stop treating Jay-Z like a rapper or performer, because that's what he really wants. He wants you to treat him as a rapper who just knows how to have a business savvy. He's not. He's so much more than that. But that's the way he tries to divorce himself from full accountability. And that's up for debate as well. So that's my thoughts about that and about him. And let's also, like, the interview with the Kush, like the fact that he had, he was there with the Kushners, Melania Trump and Beyonce, like, we just gonna skip over those details. Again, a different type of conversation. Not the kind of conversation in the interview I would have done, but, brother tried. He tried. So now there's been a little bit of chatter around Usher, defending Diddy, or pretty much choosing to stay out of the quote unquote negative discourse pertaining to Diddy. And a lot of you all hit me up about it because you know that I do like Usher's music. I do. But two things can be true. You can like a person's music, and you can also think that a person's consistent track record of aligning themselves with problematic people is also not a good look. I have not forgotten him going down in Bali to see Russell Simmons. And sometimes you want people to show you who they are, and then sometimes you just want people to just shut up. I just feel like Usher should just put himself in a space where just shut up. If you don't want to discuss it, just don't say anything, Was silence not an option, To quote Ta-Nehisi Coates, like, is there not, like, because here's the issue. Most of these celebrities who say they don't want to weigh in will give a take that will show their bias. He begins to talk about Diddy's business acumen, like he's a good businessman. He's done a lot for black folks and entrepreneur and all these things. Dude, that can be true, but he can also be a predator, an abuser, and all the other things. And I don't understand why it feels as though celebrities act as though people cannot see all of the nuances of folks, but also recognize that impact trumps intention. And what's been frustrating is these conversations. I mean, Shaka Khan, gorgeous woman, right? Gorgeous talent. But like talking about Ike Turner as this great man in her life, like, girl, Ike Turner was an abuser. He terrorized Tina Turner's life. And I don't know why people who are not these individuals themselves feel like they need to be in the business of exonerating them, especially when they're not like a direct family member. Like, it's one thing if it was Ike Turner's son, or, Diddy's children. Like, I understand Diddy's children feeling this emotional obligation to their father in spite of his mess, right? Children are just different. But Diddy, you don't have to say anything. Like, again, why can't silence be an option? Why go there if you're not going to go there? And I think that's what's the most frustrating thing about that interview. And it's a lot of these celebrities and their takes. Like, it just, honestly, so much of his response told me less about Diddy because I already know where Diddy is, but more about him. And more about his complacency in this situation. And yeah, it's not looking good. But listen, you can like somebody's music. I have no emotional investment with him or anything beyond that. I think that's what's been telling lately doing this book on stan culture is that as I'm getting older, as I'm looking at my own connections or liking of certain powerful people and famous people, there is this weird level of detachment we all got to get away from with these people. Like, we're having these parasocial relationships with famous people where we want more for them than they want for themselves. We can be disappointed, but we also got to recognize these ain't our friends. These are not our family members. And I don't know. I think that the lack of conversations and real legitimate investment that these individuals, these very rich, influential individuals are not placing in this time, right? Like, could you imagine, like, if all of these multi-millionaire, billionaire celebrities came together and said, we're going to make some serious collective investments in Black communities or in communities that are dealing with some serious distress. Like, if we just said, you know what, we're going to go pick up the 50 most struggling urban cities in America, and we're going to make some serious investments to help with public education, to help with community cleanups, like whatever it is. We're going to go and we're going to do that. You know who's doing that right now? McKinsey. McKinsey's doing that. She's doing that work. This white woman is doing that with the money that she's gotten from leaving Bezos. We got people in our own community that have that kind of resources. And hell, can somebody help Dr. Umar Johnson get can we help him get his school together? So that can stop. We could do that, right? We can't come together and do that. Like Mackenzie Scott, like we can't be Mackenzie Scott and pull our resources together and just make those investments with no strings attached, create some grant funds, get all these wealthy billionaires and multimillionaires in our communities, create a fund, right? And rather than do freak-offs and do just more gentrification shit, buying up hoods and ruining them and giving some developers or, being part owners to franchisees that are fucking over our streets. We could just bring all these people together, create a fund, create a board, right? You all could easily be board members to it. Get Robert Smith, my frat brother, get him and make him the chair, make Oprah the co-chair. And, you all have this fund and you all seriously make some real heavy investments in communities that either you're from, you care about, and really make an impact. You could do that. That's easy. You really could. because there are other communities and groups of people that are doing that for things they care about. They do it for the arts. They do it for all kind of causes. I'm not going to get into all of the tea, but there are a lot of different communities that get behind initiatives that they care about and causes, and even influence politics to help people that they care about get elected. That's going to make a difference in those communities. But we don't see them do that. But yet they have so many opinions. They're too busy trying to be relatable rather than being aspirational. And so in a time like this, I'm just reminded of how selfish, how limiting, how boring like celebrity culture is. Like, I'm not as enthralled by it as a grown-ass man. Like, I'm just kind of like, the conversations are so shallow. You have money. Great. What are you doing with it? What are you doing with your influence? What are you doing to shape culture? What are you doing to protect people? What are you doing to protect communities that you care about? What are you doing to protect your fans? What do you have to say that's thoughtful, helpful, impactful about the political climate that we're in and not centered around you? That's why I was annoyed with the Jay-Z interview. That's why I'm so disappointed in Usher. Like, it's just such a disappointment because it's like, you're going to spend this time feeling like you're doing something for what? Defending this fucking predator? Like, get out of here. So, yeah, that's my real thoughts about that. It's just, we're just at a point where the bullshit has to stop. We're watching a lot of celebrities, right, who have gone MAGA. And we got to keep that 100, okay? Like, really, Nick Cannon with his bullshit. Oh, the Democratic parties, the party of the KKK. Shut up. Do you even vote? You're an embarrassment. Like, really, really, you still pushing them old talking points, them Republican talking points? Trump is doing good for people? Really? Okay. All this going on right now. I mean, if it was 2016, perhaps. But between him, Nelly, the Carters with, Ivanka Trump without no explanation, Jared Kushner, everybody's playing. Everybody's playing. Everybody's playing. All these celebrities are playing. We knew this was going to happen. We was forewarned this. Snoop Dogg and 50 Cent, and of course, like I said before, Nelly, and it's just like, so we are with Trump now. And the crazy part is, at a time where he's even worse and unhinged, even people in his own party are falling back from him, but y'all are leaning into him. We're not forgetting this. We're not forgetting this. I'm not forgetting it. And then this news about Chili. Chili says she doesn't support MAGA. She's come out to speak out against it. She says that retweet on her Instagram was her pushing the wrong button. And it was this negative post about Michelle Obama, like misgendering Michelle Obama, saying some crazy stuff. And she said that apparently she clicked the button by accident. She didn't know what it was, yada, yada, yada. Here's my thing, Chili. And this is from Chili from TLC. She got this big old tour she's about to do with Salt and Pepper and then Vogue. It's a lot going on, right? I would believe that if so much of Chili's entire persona over the years have not been dredged in hyper evangelical, Christianity, like to the point of which she talks about purity in these weird ways. I mean, she's just been a Jesus freak. And it's one thing to, like, if you all seen there was a reality show she was on, like, I think it was called like Girls Trip or something like that. But Chili's weird. Like, Chili is weird. Like, weird. Not like, oh, okay, she likes to pray and she has faith. Like, I'm not criticizing people that's Christians. But she's one of those nutcases that have these very archaic notions around purity, sexuality, expression, and she combines it with faith. It's giving trad wife on the Instagram slightly. She's got a new boyfriend, the guy that she was with that used to be a 90s heartthrob actor on TV. She's dating him, apparently. But everything about her whole vibe and aura has always been a little off in recent years. And people have noticed it. She has said some boneheaded shit lately, like very weird stuff that's fallen within colorist trap. She was called chocolate one time, which I've always seen Chili as a darker skinned woman, but she wanted to correct it to say caramel. Like, it's been a lot of weird things with her. And so when the word got around that, hey, she got pretty much caught by the FEC, the FEC, like donating money to Trump, right? I think she gave her around $800, close to $1,000 apparently. And then coupled with this retweet that was debasing and disrespecting Michelle Obama, I kind of was like, I'm not really shocked by that. Because all the rhetoric, like Snoop Dogg being a Trumper, not surprised. Because he's a flagrant homophobe and a misogynist. Not surprised. Kanye West, in all of his antics, he's about to drop an album just dropped called Bully. Not surprised. He wants to apologize, for the anti-Semitism, but also all the other fuckery, right? Using the F-bomb every 5 seconds. Like, wearing MAGA hats and shit. Like, you are who you are, right? Nelly, a man who's been accused of rape and have had court settlements, supporting another man, respecting the presidency of a man who's also been extrajudicially, dealt with when it comes to allegations around rape and sexual assault. Like Kodak Black, Lil Wayne, the list goes on, right? Now Nick Cannon, a man who has multiple children, that he is a hot-ass mess. A whore. Of course you support Donald Trump. Like, these are people who are showing us who they are. 50 Cent. Not surprised. Like, none of these individuals surprise me, right? Like, John Legend would surprise me. John Legend is, by all means, he is not a Trumper. He's far from it. But, like, look at John Legend's politics. Look at his education level. Look at the way in which he talks about women and issues that he cares about. This is a man who, it appears that his standards, his livelihood aligns with his values, aligns with his politics. Like, there's a certain type of person that supports the likes of Trump. And I think people are trying to avoid the conversation with certain celebrities, but the silence and the complicity that their spouses and people have with them, come on, y'all. 1 + 1, what does it equal? 2. So, right, just acknowledge it, right? But there's folks that's in denial, right? Stan culture holds people in denial from that. But I say all this to say that, everybody's getting caught. Now, Chili has publicly said that she's denounced it. She says that she got confused. It's a lot of confusion. She said she confused as she retweeted the Michelle Obama thing. But let me explain something about algorithms, right? My algorithm on my Instagram does not show me any of that crazy shit about Michelle Obama, does not show me crazy shit about, Kamala. Like, I don't know what kind of stuff is on people's news feed where they can see that. Like, there was this one man who was saying one day, he was like, I'm seeing all this gay shit on my timeline. Like, I don't want to see dudes kissing on dudes. Do y'all not know how the algorithm works, Speedy? Let me put y'all a game on something. Your algorithm will only show you things that you're following and the likeliness of it. So a lot of my timeline often shows me content related to progressive elected officials, to Democrats. I don't get any MAGA, Trumper shit on my timeline. I don't. I follow the White House on Instagram for of course, journalism purposes, but outside of that, I don't get a bunch of crazy far-right shit on my timeline. So there's no way that I could ever see content on my timeline that debases Michelle Obama unless it is someone I followed that then popped out and became a Trumper. But like, outside of stuff like that, random shit like that, that's an easy block. But just from random pages and things, I don't follow accounts like that. Like, I don't even think I follow the Shade Room, or I think I mute them or something. But like, I don't have a lot of these crazy accounts that I follow. And some of these pages have blocked me, actually, for calling them out. So, my timeline is free from a lot of that type of propaganda. So for Chili to even have stuff like that on her timeline tells me what kind of algorithm she has, because what kind of people and things are you following that would be exposing you to that kind of content where you can actually like it or retweet or whatever in the first place. That's very telling within itself. Like, if I told you all that you all saw that I retweeted, for whatever reason, some crazy, far-right conspiracy stuff, that's because I most likely was following an account like that. There's no way that you can. Like, when I hear, like, for example, there are certain people Listen, that Twitter, I learned a lot about a lot of folks and they taste. I'm just going to say that. There was a whole scandal with Chance the Rapper where there was him liking multiple trans pornographic imagery or some stuff on his Twitter account. This is many years ago. And people were going through the likes and they were like, he liking these videos. He's following. And it was like, I don't think he was following the accounts, or maybe he was, but there was definitely some likes and some videos of him liking some very interesting things. But I was like, you're liking it? I guess people didn't know that you can see, like I think Twitter had it. Now they don't have it that way now, but there was a way where you could see what people were liking. Like you could see their likes and it would show you what they were liking. I'm just saying, there's some people that I know in this city that are liking some content, not naming names because that's not what we do. We don't do that. But they're liking content, and I want to tell them, sir, you're an elected official. You should not be liking that kind of content on social media. Like, we can see those likes, sir. Like, put that away. But, like, there's some people liking things they have no business. I mean, I'm not going to say no business, but I don't think they think people can see what they're liking or what they're following and what they're engaging with. And it's telling me a lot about a lot of folks. And I just tell people listen, you can look but don't like, child. You can look but don't like. My goodness. Scroll on by something. But people out here, they think listen. I don't know. I'm not going to pass judgment. Some of these men that are married, I don't know. Everybody's marriage is different. Maybe I need to mind my business. But they be liking stuff that is just like, why is it 2:00 at night and you hearting like 15 pictures from a certain type of person? Or listen, people be telling themselves. That's all I'm gonna say. I just mind mine I just mind my business. But you just see this stuff, and I don't think people really know how to use social media. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that, Chili. I just feel like I don't even know how you was even in a position to even touch it. Like, why was you even touching the content, see the retweet or like or anything? Like, why was you even engaging with it? Weird. I don't know. Her whole tone just seems super like fearful. Like I feel like she's trying so hard to I don't know. Just a lot of questions. Just a lot of questions. Lots of questions. As far as the money goes, she claims also another mistake that she did not read the fine print, that the money she was giving, she thought she was supporting veterans, didn't know it was supporting the Donald Trump campaign. It's not sticking with me. Because if you give any money to a political campaign, it's like an act blue, it's a pack. I don't know how you could have thought the donation was going to support troops and not Trump. Like, you didn't read the fine print? Yeah, I don't believe it, y'all. I'm sorry, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Sorry, I don't. But here's how stand culture works, right? A lot of people are coming to her defense saying, well, you all want to throw everybody away like y'all did Chrisette Michelle. We're gonna get on why that is some bullshit. But that comparison, you all doing this and these other people that y'all listen. Let me say this: where I stand, fuck anybody that support Trump. Fuck Amber Rose. Fuck Nick Cannon. Fuck all of them. Okay. I don't care. Male, female, black, white, blue, purple. If you are aligning yourself with fascists and white supremacists, like, I don't have any nuance for you. I don't give a fuck about you. Like, fuck Nelly. I don't. Like, any of these people, because it's like, people are dying. People are losing their rights. People are being harmed by this man's policies. And if you want to align yourself with them and play with them and entertain them, like, honestly, I'm over Taylor Swift. I'm really over a lot of these people who are not, I'm not saying she aligned with Trump, but just the mere capitulation, the silence. I mean, all it's like, I'm just so, I mean, I listen to music and shit, right? Clearly, but like, I'm not invested in people who don't have a stance. Like, I'm excited that next month I'm going to see Cardi B. Yes, I bought a Cardi B ticket. Yes, we're going. You know why? Because Cardi B's politics is very clear to me. She's very loud about what she is for. I see Sarah McLachlan because Sarah McLachlan is very loud about her politics. She's a Canadian. She can't vote in the U.S., but she's very clear about what she supports and who she believes. And I want to get behind people that align with me. Fuck it, I do. I'm sorry. I need to know exactly where you stand, and you can't pivot to me. That's just where I'm at with it, period. I'm not giving a dollar or a dime to anyone who I got to question where your politics lie. Like, I'm not doing it. Like, I think, and that's my right, the case for cancel culture. Like, that is my prerogative. I think we're just doing way too much excuses and moving goalposts. Fuck that. I don't know. Chili, it is what it is. But like, for people now, I do agree that people who are going after her but sitting around here still standing for Kanye West, yeah, I agree with that. That's bullshit. But I'm an equal opportunity accountability holder. That is how I feel about it. Like, I'm not sitting around here. Like, if Oprah was to sit around here and entertain Trump and be besties with Trump, and before y'all start with these old ass pictures, that was before Trump was in the White House. She's very clear on criticizing Trump. She goes out. A lot of your folks don't go out. She goes out. She shows up. She's making very clear what her politics are. Now, Jeff Bezos and all that, not a fan of that. I'm not. Like, it's a little cringy. You know, Gail going up to space, whatever that was, cringy. But overall, I definitely feel like whatever she's doing, she hiding it well. If she is doing something, right? But some of these other people, no. Like, I just do not find this, like, at this point in the game, this is my beliefs, right? I'm not falling for that. That's just me. And then lastly on TV, it's a lot going on with TV right now. For starters, Love Story then wrapped up its 8-9 episode series on Ryan Murphy. I was initially excited about this love story about, you know, Robert Kennedy, you know, all of the, you know, JFK, all the things, right? Caroline Bessette. Like, I was really following this. Like, I really thought that this was going to go somewhere. I was really disappointed with Love Story. The whole narrative, yeah. I was very underwhelmed. I felt like, you know, I didn't want to say anything until I saw it play out. But now I'm kind of like, you know, JFK Jr., you know, that if anybody wants to do a revisit of that story, it would be better. I just felt like this was overly sensationalized from beginning to end. I just felt like it was just, elements of it was super boring. Yeah, I was just very underwhelmed and disappointed. I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't. And quite frankly, at this point, I don't know if there's anything more we need to explore within the maybe someone else can do it. I don't know. But I was overwhelmed. Underwhelmed. And I'm tired of Ryan Murphy. Ryan Murphy is just looking for the next thing. It's just so, like, it's just a beat. It's just, it was good until it was. I mean, it's been over 10 years of this humdrum of these types of, like, exploitative biopic type story. It's just played out. I don't know. I'm over it. CBS is making a lot of major cancellations, which is heartbreaking. Watson got canceled after the second season. It was going good. What happened? Morris Chestnut, black lead. I thought it was going well. Got canceled. Which is very disappointing. That Star Trek Academy, which is very progressive, canceled. Diversity. The black character from NCIS bowed out of a show. It's like a lot of cancellations at CBS when it comes to the CBS network. Like they're just cutting diverse shows. It's very telling. And here's the thing. People are not going to watch these new shows. Like, every time you get emotionally invested, I mean, look, you know how Mr. Johnson felt about The Equalizer. The Equalizer left before it got too real over there, you know? But like a lot of these shows are like getting cut. Like, and it's just weird because it's like, if you're trying to convince me that it's because of diversity, I don't think so. I think there's just a lot of cutting. And maybe it's finances. Maybe they're trying to tighten up on their financial obligations, perhaps. I don't know. But it's not a good look. It's not. And yeah, it's just a lot of cowardice going on with media, in general. Like, I mean, I'm holding on, Love and Hip Hop. I'm still watching it. Baddies, still watching my baddies. A lot of people have their thoughts, Hmm. Mm-mm-mm. But yeah, that's the week. That has been the week. It's a lot going on. And I'm excited. So much is happening. And mm, 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 mm. This week is going to be a week of some interesting things. I have some surprises. Fingers crossed about some things. I'm not going to reveal it just yet. I think I might be. Maybe it'd be time for me to tell some things. I don't know. Next Sunday's Easter, so I'll be recording an Easter podcast episode for y'all. There's gonna be Easter special. Gonna be a lot of Easter stuff going on. It's gonna be really fun. Have a nice little cute little Easter feast at the house. So I'm looking forward to that. But no, this week is gonna be fun. I'm going to a musical. Going to see a new show that's coming to Ensemble Arts. Doe, a deer, a feet. Sound of Music. Looking forward to that. Gonna see that this week. There's gonna be a lot of things. There's a lot of stuff going on. But we're gonna follow this saga with this damn tax as well. See where that's headed as well. But April's coming soon. April showers, April hours. And, I look forward to it because, it's going to be fun. Well, there's always the week ahead. And as always, be well and be best. Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.